Hello everyone, Xeno here. Here to bring the movie of what if reds and blues were teleported into DanMachi S01 S03. Link down description of the fanfiction of this what if. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. This movie will take place in the events through season 1 to 3. Anyway, I hope you guys like this movie. Chapter number 1. Entering a new world. After the events that happened on Chorus since during the defeat of Malcolm Hargrave and the Space Pirates, the people of Chorus cheered for the Reds and Blues, for their victorious and heroic deeds for protecting the people of Chorus. In the present day of Chorus, the Reds and Blues felt a bit depressed after their sacrifice leader, also known as Epsilon the AI. Things weren't the same without him. For many of the Reds and Blues, especially Caboose, who missed him the most now that Malcolm Hargrave and the Space Pirate forces were put in jail, there was nothing much for the Reds and Blues could do but sit there in boredom. Luckily, a Chorus soldier came and said, "Guys, I was able to found something unusual. A new kind of temple which got the Reds and Blues attention." The Reds and Blues decide to go check out this unusual temple. Santa was there waiting for them. Santa said, "So it seems you finally decide to come at last. What exactly is this temple?" Carolina said, "This temple was one of my creators. Ever since that they'd built it, it can take them to other worlds to start a new life or start a new fresh life." Santa said, answering Carolina's question. "A new life to start all over again for us." Washington said, "I mean, to be honest, after all the shit we have dealt with, this isn't the first time we dealt with crazier stuff. So I would say why not start with a new fresh way." Simmons said, "Yeah, at least I can finally be lazy again as always," Griff said. Sarge head-butted Griff in a shotgun with disappointment looking at the fat-ass lazy soldier. "Can it, Griff, you lazy buffoon? All you have done is nothing more but just be lazy. For all we know it's really pathetic." Sarge said, disappointed. "Oh, fuck off, old man. Like as if you were any better. All you know that your whole career military was just a lie created by Project Freelancer." Griff said, getting the attention of Sarge, making him angry. About that time Sarge decided to cool his thing that Griff isn't worth that much trouble. The other Reds and Blue Moose looked at each other and decided to agree to go into this temple so that they can actually start all over for a new life after all. The two freelancers realized they could start a new life after, since during their trouble history that they had in the past, the Reds and Blues decide to pack up their stuff and decide to head to their new home in this alternate universe where they can finally actually start all over and actually start a new life there. When the moment they pack up everything, they were excited for their new life to be there in this other world or wherever it is in the multiverse. The Reds and Blues were ready for this. Zenith Tucker was the only one who had the sword that is also a key that could activate any kind of temple, especially the one with the weapons. Since during the assault on Malcolm Hargrave, Tucker activated a sword only to say this, "Let's get this ready to be in this new home of ours in the new world," he said with a smug look. "Yay, I finally get to meet some new friends," Caboose said in a cheerful tone. Washington looked on his hand and realized that he can finally start all over. Ever since the events of Project Freelancer being used multiple times, he can finally give him a fresh start. The Reds and Blues got themselves enveloped in the light of the temple activated. In 1 second they were gone away from the planet Chorus and entering a new world far beyond anything that they could have imagined. Chapter number 2. Joining the Hestia Familia. A few seconds passed by for the Reds and Blues to depart from Chorus to enter the new world by using the new temple bowl. Luckily for them, they were about to be more surprised to see what kinds of unusual stuff will happen in this world in some type of dungeon. On the first floor, a bright flash of light appeared, showing the Reds and Blues with their suitcases ready. But however, they were confused to be in a cave or some sort. The hell? Why the heck are we in some freaking cave of all places? That it teleported us, Griff said. Complaining. Hell if I know, but this is something rather unusual. I thought the teleporter would work to actually teleport us to some civilization. But a cave must have been malfunctioning, Simmons said in a logical way. Hardly. Besides, the teleporter was malfunctioning. Must have been old. Probably must have had a glitch or something, Doc said. Oh please, as if we care. Besides, that thing would have been indeed. Besides, I want to obliterate any enemy that gets in my way, O'Malley said. An evil full way. Come on now, O'Malley. There's no need to get all hostility when we're going to make new allies and friends, Doc said to O'Malley. Oh please. I want them to scream and feel the obliteration. O'Malley said to his pacifist counterpart. Well, I mean, this place does feel a bit strange. I mean, are we sure that this is not some normal cave? If this is in a normal cave, it could be something else. Washington said, concerned. I agree with Wash. Something doesn't seem right about this. The cave does give off a bit of an uneasy atmosphere for the rest of us, for all we know that this isn't something we can take lightly. I know, Tucker said. I know I could feel something's rather off about this place, Caroline said. This place is so neat, Caboose said. The others just face-palmed at Caboose's stupidity. However, the group heard a scream only to see a white-haired boy, also known as Belle Cornell, being chased by a minotaur. The Reds and Blues were surprised by this revelation of some mythological creature as a minotaur chasing a young boy. Tell me that we're the only ones seeing this in front of us. Tucker said. I highly doubt that this is actually some illusion. Besides, this is too real to be some illusion. Simmons said to Tucker. Well, we finally get to defeat something for once. Or kill something, Serge said with excitement. Do not forget we must help that boy. That is our first priority to defeat that monster, Wash said, giving an order to his group of people. I agree as well. We don't know anything about this new world right now. We need to help that boy. Seeing that it's a bit of a disadvantage against whatever that thing is. We need to help him as quickly as possible, Carolina said finally. We're about to show that bull creature Oblivion and taste its blood. If it tastes bad just like that Red Bull blah, O'Malley said with disgust. Yay, we got to help our new friend against the evil monster, Caboose said with excitement. Men, charge, Sarge said giving order for the Reds and Blues to charge directly at the Minotaur. However, Belle was cornered against the wall for the Minotaur trying to hit a swing at Belle, only for 3 plasma grenades to be stuck on its forehead. One stuck in the forehead, the second one stuck in the arm on the mace where the mace is, and the third one on its back. Take 9 dirty shots you dirty whore, Donut said. However, Belle was completely surprised by the appearance of these unknown men. Only for Belle's to think his mind. Who are those people and why are they helping someone like me? The plasma grenades exploded, the Minotaur screamed in pain. Fire your weapons, Wash said, and the Reds and Blues did. They got their weapons firing at the Minotaur. However, the loud banging and gunshot got the attention of someone who was chasing. The Minotaur looked in complete shock and horror seeing this group of armored individuals with powerful weapons for weapons. And this individual was none other than Ice, part of the Loki Familia, which she was. Shocked to see the display of power coming from the Reds and Blues. Ice in her mind saying what the hell, who are these people and what display of power they got with these weapons they have? Just who are they? Ice in shock and disbelief, the Minotaur was dead by the complete brute force of the Reds and Blues, brutally killing the Minotaur off without any mercy. Belle was completely shaken and afraid for dear life. Washington came closer to Belle, only to say, "Are you alright?" Belle nodded slowly. "That's good to hear, kid," Washington said. "Jesus Christ, man, talk about this fucking thing was rather some type of whopper to deal with," Tucker said. "I know. I never expected something like this to actually exist in this world," Simmons said. Belle got to regain his composure to look at them, only for him to say this, "Who are you people?" The Reds and Blues looked directly at Belle and they knew that they have to start introductions. "Sarge," the first group with a smug grin said, "Son, my name is Sergeant, my name is Sarge, leader of the Nobility Red Team with my companions Dick Simmons, my lazy good-for-nothing dirt person, the fat ass known as Dexter Griff, and also the pink cherry type, Donut." "Hey come on, it's the lightest red," Donut yelled at Sarge. "No one asks you," Sarge said to Donut and my robotic companion Lopez. Only Lopez speak in Spanish for Belle, not even understanding a word. Only for Washington to introduce his team to the blue team. "My name is Agent Washington, or Dave. You may call me the leader of Blue Team, the second command, and also a fellow freelancer known as Carolina. What's up? And did my 2 water companions as well," Caboose and Tucker Wash said, introducing the 2 teams' teammates. "Yo, what's up?" Tucker said. "It's a pleasure to meet you," Caboose said. "And I'm surprised Doc, or Doc, you may call me Doc," said, introducing himself. "And I'm O'Malley. I will enjoy watching the blood of my enemies splatter to the ground, O'Malley said, chuckling evilly, scaring Belle. Is he always like this? Belle said nervously. Trust me, he had a bit of a split personality problem, Simmons said to Belle. Okay, Belle said nervously. And what exactly is your name? Washington said to Belle. All right, my name is Belle Cornell. Part of the Hestia Familia, Belle said proudly. Only for the Reds and Blues to look at him deadpanned. Okay, at least we got the name and well seen it. We have nowhere to go, so you got a place for us to crash in for a night, Griff said. Belle thought for a moment for letting these unknown armored individuals stay, but then again onto the second thoughts. They helped him defeat the Minotaur by trying to kill him, so he decided to take him to the goddess Hestia to let them join her Familia. I want you to join the Hestia Familia. Once, the Reds and Blues were taking it back by accusation for them to become part of the Familia, which they don't know what it is, but they'll figure out due time. Belle was able to, well, let's just say, escort the Reds and Blues out of the tavern with their luggages. After getting out of the dungeon, the Reds and Blues got many weird stares at them from many of the bystanders, adventurers or civilians. Looking at them weirdly, they had never seen weapons or armor like that, which the Reds and Blues felt uncomfortable with, but they got used to this. Besides, you can say that the boys and girls had a bit of an epic adventure seeing that they're not the normal kind of people. Well, if you can blame them. After returning to the guild, Belle met up with the elf girl that runs the guild. However, she was surprised to see Belle was finally right. But she was completely surprised to see these strange armored individuals, which made her scared at first, and Belle explained that they're the ones that saved him from the Minotaur. I was chasing them. Luckily, the guild manager thanks them for saving Belle, only for Belle saying that they wanted to join the Hestia Familia, which the guild manager couldn't say no to. Something like that, so they decided to. However, they needed to know where Hestia stays, so Belle decided to escort them to the abandoned church. Belle came back for Hestia to hug Belle. But when the moment they saw the Reds and Blues, she was startled, almost felt as if she was about to faint for Washington to catch her. However, the Reds and Blues explained that they were from another world and decided to stay in this world to start a new life. Belle and Hestia were surprised for newcomers from another world to appear in their world. They started introducing themselves and seeing that they decided to join Hestia Familiar. She couldn't help but smile with tears of joy to finally have new party members even though they're from another world. She was happy for the first time in her life that something good was about to happen to her. The Reds and Blues societies set up some stuff that they have from their baggage. Luckily Hestia will tell them to make themselves at home for the time being, which they gladly accepted. Belle was able to tell them that they had to earn money, seeing that their party had to get familiar and see that they could earn money by doing some, well, you could say quest on missions, which Simmons became more of a geek nerd with RPGs and MMO, which Sarge despised. But seeing that he saw this, he cannot deny it. So the Reds and Blues decided to actually do some guild stuff for the time being. Chapter number 3, Guerrilla on the Loose. The Reds and Blues finally were accepted, becoming part of the Hestia Familia. Luckily they were able to do some guild quests for the guild. The Reds and Blues could accept some. Luckily the doc was always with Belle, seeing that he was waiter completely with his half-split personality with O'Malley. He always shows fear within the monsters, especially other adventures. Feared him for his split personality of this anger or evil side. Some people rather talk crap shit about him only for O'Malley to beat him to near death for them to stop breeding. However, the other adventurers were amazed by these newcomers as well. However, the other day the wolf guy was talking shit about Belle, but luck, especially the Reds and Blues, however, only for them to be beaten out of by Doc Carolina and the other Reds and Blues. However, many other adventure douches would only do nothing more but just to cause idiotic reasons for the Reds and Blues, only for them to get beaten up again, but 100 times worse. So well, the Reds and Blues didn't really care much for the other fools. The Reds and Blues continued doing more quests and earning more money for Hestia and her Familia. Hestia can help but be proud at the Reds and Blues even though they're new cumbersome another world so well. Well, let's just say you also earn more money. Belle was thinking about getting some type of spear and well, old Belle decided to get some nice. And luckily for that, however, every single day the Reds and Blues decided to train Belle. Washington decided to do well, let's just say an easy kind of obstacle course, which Tucker kind of got angry and complained about for him to get easier while the rest of them didn't, which made them had a bit of an argument, but in the end Washington won't think about it. However, Bell was able to slowly and improve his skills thanks to the Reds and Blues training. Luckily for them, they were able to, and Hestia was surprised by their stats, the Reds and Blues stats as well, and their ranks and levels seen that the Reds and Blues have well. Agent Washington aka Dave rank 25. Agent Carolina rank 23. Lavernius Tucker rank 24. Michael J. Caboose rank 25. Red Team. Serge rank Dirty. Dexter Griff rank 19. Franklin Delano Donut rank 20. Lopez rank 20. Frank Dufresne Doc rank 29. Hestia could not believe that she finally got herself the strongest, most powerfulest people to join her Familia. She couldn't help but be so happy, especially for Bell. She was surprised that Bell was able to slowly growing up in the ranks. He was able to go from level 1, rank 1 to rank 4. He was able to learn fire magic. Luckily Washington was able to do more than just he was able to step up the obstacle course, giving Bell to do target practices. Luckily, Bell was able to do target practice to increase his fire ability. Magic. The other Reds and Blues continued getting stronger by the second. Hestia was rather amazed seeing that the Reds and Blues were more like coaches, helping out Bell, getting stronger by the second of every day. However, Hestia had decided to have asked Bell out on a date, but then again, she decided to take the Reds and Blues out on a bit of a day off, which the Reds and Blues decided. Griff said, "Finally we get to find a bit of a break after all of this damn training." Griff said in relief, only for him to get slapped by Sarge in frustration. "You lazy ass. You always are so lazy. Right now we get to relax and then we'll go back to training and then get more money and then get ourselves a new, better fort," Sarge said with proud confidence. "I agree as much as the church would be, but still the living conditions are rather unstable. So see, now we're going to need to get a lot more suiting living conditions for all of us," Simmons said. "Logically I agree, sooner or later we will in due time," Hestia said. "I really hope so. But then again, why not use the money to get ourselves a new house or some other kind of place?" Tucker said, "I agree. We earn all that money, we could actually get a new house or perhaps a mansion," Washington said. "Oh, perhaps maybe we could actually get ourselves some fun house, a cool type of house that could actually be so fun with a lot of cool stuff inside," Caboose said in amazement, only for everyone else to look at Caboose deadpan for his idiotic nature. "While I want a house to actually put some of my cool stuff for my style so that the people would like it," Donut said cheerfully. "Shut up, Donut," the Reds and Blues said. So the Reds and Blues decided to hang out outside of the arena, and decided to chat alongside each other. Sure, they were able to take off their helmets while eating. While eating, Bell was surprised by Simmons seeing that his face had a bit of mechanical parts. However, Simmons explained that there was a time in Blood Gulch where he got ran over by a tank, only for them to have a bit of a surgery. And well, yeah, let's say Bell couldn't only say how was that physically possible. And well, Simmons only said it doesn't really matter. We have dealt with a lot of crazy things, so yeah, however, some idiotic fool had unleashed the gorilla. However, the same thing happened just like the anime, only with the Reds and Blues to be there as well, to be there alongside with Bell, seeing that this wasn't easy. And well, let's just say the Reds and Blues trawler weapons opened, fired. So many of the adventurers also were panicking along with some of the bystanders as well, and were surprised to see this. Let's just say the Reds and Blues had to just use every weapon in their disposal, with O'Malley also shooting using his rocket launcher. "Die, you big stupid ape. Feel oblivion," O'Malley laughed in evil in a sinister tone. Luckily, Bell was able to do the same thing with their sheer firepower as well. Tucker was able to stab the white gorilla in many places. Donut was able to throw plasma grenades as well, killing it, weakening the gorilla. The gorilla tried its best against the sheer firepower, however, only for Caboose to say, "My name is Michael J. Caboose and I hate big stupid apes," said in rage. Only for Tucker to say, "It's called a gorilla, idiot." "That too," Caboose said, replying to Tucker. Caboose was able to finish it off by punching the gorilla so hard in the face, neck snapping it. So many of bystanders cheered for the reds and blues to actually. The cloak figure was actually watching this, and would rather be bewildered and intrigued by these armored individuals. Well then, isn't this rather interesting? Who exactly are you people? You claim to be from another world. Isn't that interesting? The cloak figure disappeared among the rooftop. So many people cheered for the reds and blues with Belle as well. Hestia couldn't help but be proud of them. Chapter number 4. A new party member. After the events that happened with the giant gorilla on the loose, the reds and blues, along with the Hestia Familiar, were known, well pronounced to anyone else who dares mess with them will be beaten to a bloody pulp. And yes, every other familiar gets the mono of what happens when you piss off the reds and blues. You don't mess with them. You don't mess with them. And well, let's just say they were doing their own thing. Tucker and Wash were doing their own thing. Just wandering around the city of Warario, however, they saw a group of dogs looking down at a little girl. Wash and Tucker. Agent Washington and Tucker decided that they don't stand for people like douches, who actually pick down on others, which Tucker rather found unacceptable, seeing that the reds and blues did not tolerate anything between those who looked down at the innocent and weak. So let's just say Tucker grabbed the first one of the thug adventurers, punched him square in the face, making his nose crack. The other two thug adventurers saw this. Adventurer number 2 douched. Who the hell are you guys? Oh. Let's just say we're the ones who are about to kick your ass. Tucker said to the reds. To those douche adventurers, like hell you are. Adventurer douche 2 said, got out their weapons, especially the one that had a broken nose. Got out their weapons. However, let's just say Washington was pretty good with combat. With knife and hand-to-hand combat, Tucker got out his plasma sword and well, the fight scene went a bit much with a bloodbath and well, let's just say Washington stabbed the first one in the right arm and broke the other ones. Broke his left arm, and continuously punched his face, rapidly breaking his nose, his mouth, to near death. Tucker cut off the adventurer douche 2's left arm and kicked him in the knee so hard, breaking it, kicked him multiple times, breaking his ribs, almost puncturing his lungs, and Miyakafa blood. The third adventurer was scared to near death. After, when they're done beating them, the two adventurers douche were on the ground, bloody, beaten up, near death itself. Adventurer douche 1 said, please have mercy, please don't hurt me, don't kill me, I beg of you. Washington grabbed adventurer douche's neck tightly, so hard, making him unable to breathe, making his face turn purple, and took off his helmet and gave the man a death glare. Made him fear down the core like he was looking at a man. No, not a man, but a man who fought in hell itself. A man who showed that he was even better than any adventurer. Adventurer. You better listen here, you're pathetic, worthless Doug. I'm more than just that. And let's just say I'm a soldier and I don't care whom I have to kill. You better listen here. You're dealing with some of us even though we're misfits, a bunch of oddballs. Don't mess with the wrong people, motherfucker, Washington said before punching them out. Cold. The little adventurer girl known as Lily was completely shocked and scared and surprised. With a mixed emotions racing through her mind. Washington put back the helmet and walked slowly towards Lily, which made her frighten a bit. But Washington put his hand on her head, rubbing it to show a gentle whistle which she felt comfortable. Washington only said this, are you all right? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, Lily said. It's no problem. That's what we're meant to do, is to protect people like you. After all, you can call it the reds and blues. We're the strongest and most misfitted odd people you will ever meet. Washington said to Lily. Is that so? I have to admit, you're rather an interesting group of people, Lily said. I know. Let's just say we've been on a crazy adventures that you have no idea. Tucker said to Lily. Is that so? Crazy and misadventures. How very interestingly. You guys are lucky, Lily said to Tucker. Trust us. Let's just say it gets crazy beyond anything you could imagine. But right now we should head back to our adventure. Besides, they're worried about us, Washington said. All right. Right. Can't be late for dinner again. Besides, I understand what happened last time when the two of us were late. We couldn't get easy to eat because of Griff's fat ass, Tucker said, disappointedly at Griff for eating their meal. Lily could help but giggled at the two soldiers, seeing that they were more nice and funny. So the two of them, Tucker, Washington and Lily, departed ways. Lily could understand that she doesn't trust the adventurers, but for some weird reason she trusted the Reds and Blues for a reason. Like they were rather an unusual and interesting group of people, something rather unusual about them that stands them out compared to any other adventurer group. And well, Tucker and Wash came back to the Hestia Familiar, seeing that Griffith did not eat any of the food thanks to Sarge tying him up with rope. The Reds and Blues ate the food with Bell as well in Hestia. However, Lily didn't really had much of a good life from his previous life of being treated horribly as nothing more but a trade merchandise for any adventurers that treat her like a tool. She always had the feeling she didn't trust nobody, that they were like a group of thugs. But then she reminded of Tucker and Washington, a group of runner unusual people that stand out to the normal people of Warario among with the other group of colorful soldiers that were a bit unusual. She couldn't help but stop thinking about them. However, the day came for her to become part of with the other thugs of clients as well. The Reds and Blues were ready for their next assignment. Bell was with Caboose, Tucker, Doc Simmons and Washington. For this they were busy doing their usual quest for the guild, killing monsters and receiving more money by the second. Luckily they were able to, and well, they were about to leave until they heard about something. The Reds and Blues and Bell saw a negotiation happen with a group of other douches of adventurers. When they're about to, a group of ants also came in. "Hey Caboose, get ready to beat on those 3 guys. Besides, I think they really are bullies," Tucker said to Boost, and Caboose said, "Yes, I will show those bullies." Caboose went full-on rage mode, charging directly at the 3 adventurers. What did the douche's adventurer see Caboose running towards them and say what? Before he had any time, Caboose soon grabbed him, broke his back, making the first one screaming in pain. The other 2 saw him and threw him like a ragdoll at the wall, breaking every bone, and Caboose looked at him and screamed in a loud roar, saying, "My name is Michael J. Caboose and I." Caboose charged first. At the second adventurer punched him straight in the gut, shattering his ribcage, making cough out blood and saliva, and then punched him in the face, sending him flying so far away, breaking his face. The third killed the third douche adventurer. The leader, that was a raccoon, looked at him in fear. "How? What are you?" "My name is Michael Chickaboos and I hate bullies," he said, beating the shit out of him, breaking every bone in his body senseless until he was on the ground in a bloody mess. Unable to move or breathe. Luckily, with the Reds and Blues they were able to defend off Lily against a swarm of ants monsters, killing them off easily, as quickly as possible while gaining more gems. After when the massacre with the monster ants were done, the Reds and Blues looked over at Lily, which Tucker decided to bring her along as a new party member, which she was surprised by, Tucker actually allowing her to become part of the Hestia Familia. And she was rather ancient that the Reds and Blues decided to need new party member as well. So they decided to agree. Lily said, "Why? I don't understand. Are you treating me like a tool?" "Just to trade merchandise," Lily said in a Santoni. "Of course. Now what the hell makes you think that we want to treat you like some slave, like a merchandise tool? To gain more money," Simmons said to Lily. "I agree. Besides, you can trust us. And besides, there has to be more people like you. So yeah, tool. No, but trading for trading expenses, stuff so we can get more money. Yeah. Besides, we can give you food and a place to sleep. And besides, we do need all the help we can get," Doc said. "And we can show those pastures that treat you to show them to oblivion," O'Malley said in his maniacal way. "And I'm guessing you're the one who had a split personality," Lily said. Kind of felt a bit uncomfortable by Doc's split personality. "Trust me, you'll get used to that by the second," Washington said to Lily, patting her on the head, which made her seem happy. Caboose rushed and hugged her so tightly with a monster hug. Yay, a new friend. Lily couldn't help but greed but smile, how her face turned purple at the same time. "Caboose, stop. You're choking her, you idiot," Tucker said, slapping the bag of head. "Oops, sorry," Caboose said, gently putting Lily down on the ground. Lily couldn't help but smile, finally being in a familia that treats them as more like family. Now that Lily has finally become part of Hestia Familia, Hestia couldn't help but be happy, by this, seeing that her familia is growing, thanks to the Reds and Blues. Chapter number 5, another new party member. The Reds and Blues with Belle and the Lily, the new member of the familia, had slowly grown a bit. Luckily, Bell was able to improve a lot, thanks to Agent Washington's intense training over the course of time. Seeing that his intense training made him level up a bit, improving his skills a bit. Seeing that, well, weaponry. Seeing that all decided to ditch the sword and decided to go full on guns. Seeing that, well, they were more advanced compared to small weaponry, which Hestia was surprised by. But seeing that Bell decided to go with something modernized. The little white rabbit of the familiar became more and more of like a big polar bear. And well, seeing that again, used to the firepower of a pistol and a knife, a Unisom knife that was given to him by Washington. And luckily for that, and luckily Washington was able to train Bell with more than just that hand-to-hand combat. And even with his knife combat, seeing that it wasn't easy. But Bell was denied, determined to improve his power. And well, and let's just say Bell still needed some other they needed one more member to join the Familiar, and the other Familia will have to wait for some time sooner. However, the Reds and Blues in their spare time were able to create a portal that can actually gather stuff from their world to bring to this world, and the Reds and Blues seeing that Bell saw that Bell needed a new armor set, but the problem was they needed an armor set. Luckily they did. Luckily they did need to use armor. While luckily the Reds and Blues were working on it, on giving them weaponry, they are able to train Bell by using parts and equipment. Armor. And well, let's just say. Between the weaponry and they were able to let's just say needed more and more equipment and other vehicles and weapons. Luckily they were able to get some from Blood Gulch, Valhalla and other places as well, like old outposts that the Reds and Blues were used to. Seeing that now that they had their weaponry and vehicles, they were able to take it for transportation. Seeing that many of the citizens and adventurers saw these weird unusual kinds of carriages that didn't need a horse with a turret on it. However, many adventurers tried to steal this unusual kind of vehicle only for the turret that Surge decided to use. Let's just say how should I explain it? Use the turret as a defense system and turn so many people that tried to steal their weapon using the gas. The Warthog that had a gas gun turret turned so many adventurers that wanted that vehicle into chum, literally with their blood organs splat. Many were kind of scared of the Reds and Blues, seeing that they were the beings that aren't meant to be messed with, and when the Reds and Blues realized that some were scared, some had glares of hatred. But however, a red-haired man was rather intrigued by this individual. That meant that those from the Hestia Familia seen that he ran her had a bit of a liking for the Reds and Blues even. Though not. There are a bunch of unusual individuals. Keywater found it a bit fond about them, seeing that there was little about them he knew. So this young man was named Welf. Welf decided to introduce himself. Seeing that he wants to join Hestia a Familia, the Reds and Blues looked at him and shrugged. Decided to take him as well. So Welf did. Washington decided to test Welfy's strength, speed and strategy going through the same obstacle course. But luckily it was simple. Seeing that Welfy was rather a bit intimidated by their firepower and weaponry. He was amazed that these people from another world had incredible technology and were way more advanced compared to people of Lorario. He was amazed by them, by the people. And from another world was something far beyond anything he could have imagined. So luckily, their team was able to grow and they were ready for their mission to go deeper into the dungeon itself. Somewhere deeper. Deeper in the dungeon that was assigned. That was an assignment for Hestia, Familia and every other Familiar, the Reds and Blues, Bell and Hestia and Lily. And Welf were excited for this kind of competition for the first time in their life. Chapter number 6, an epic event like none other. The Reds and Blues with Bell and Hestia and Lily and Welf were ready for the epic event like none other, seeing that they were 100% combat ready for this scenario. Luckily, another group of Familia also joined as well, decided to join their party as well known as the Tekkensiami of Familia, with their greatest warriors, adventurers, also supporting the Hestia Familia, one of them known as Yamatomi Kato, a female adventurer dressed up like a samurai, willing to support. Not also that she kind of did. Had a bit of a crush on Libertius. Tucker Sinetti was not from his perverted side. Tucker didn't really had much perverted, cinematic had matured a lot. Luckily they were able to take care of the monsters, so many were able to take care of the monsters. Many of the adventurers of the other Familiar also supported him, supported Hestia and the Reds and Blues. Luckily the Reds and Blues were able to travel easily by using War Dogs and the Scorpion tank for heavy support. Luckily one had a gas gun turret, the other one had a rocket turret, one had a machine gun turret, the Scorpion had a bit of let's just say the same thing. And luckily it was easy walk in a park for the Reds and Blues. Thanks for their advanced technology. Luckily they were able to gather enough gems dropped by the slaughter of monsters they killed on the way. It was Ronner amazed that these so-called advanced soldiers from another world killed off so many monsters in such a little time. The Reds and Blues made it even deeper and deeper within the dungeons all the way from level 17 to 19 in a safe part of the dungeon. So many of them it was rather one epic adventure, almost a bit too easy. But however, there was one party that despised Belle and the Reds and Blues, a certain group of thug adventurers who did not like them. That's when a certain ass fool had a bit of a sly trick Botwell. However, they'll lose their mistake sooner than they have expected, never to mess with the Reds and Blues. If they do, they'll be fucked up bigger than expected. That's coming from a group of idiots that actually have done something, that have done big things. Not even some of the adventures could have been even imagined. Luckily they got to the safe zone of the Familia, the safe zone in the dungeon area, and luckily the Reds and Blues sides made camp for night, saying that there were also other families there such as the Hestia, such as Loki, Familia, others. However, the Reds and Blues had a bit of a five within them, and that they weren't really much it felt like they wanted their heads. Jesus fucking Christ, talk about these guys really do want us dead. Tucker said. So let them come to us. We'll break their bones and make them wish that they won't be able to mess with someone like me or us. Washington said. Correcting, Carolina. Then let's show them the true power of Reds and Blues. Sarge chuckled while cocking his shotgun. Like hell we could take any of these guys on. I mean, some of these guys could be even higher level adventurers compared to us. Griff said to Sarge. Only for Sarge to head Griff in the head with a shotgun. Candid Griff. Besides, let those adventures come. We will show them a thing or two by us. The red team and blue team will prevail. Sarge said in confidence. I agree, seeing that we do have advanced firepower. So yeah, Simmons said, and let's just say Simmons had also had a bad feeling, even Lopez as well. The thing that no one would understand Lopez, it's like an understatement. And let's just say Hestia got captured by the two thugs, those douches, and let's just say the Reds and Blues with the other adventurers of the other Familia, especially with Lily and Welf, also heard about it. The Reds and Blues were rather furious, so they also decided to as well. And just in case they also brought the tank along, they fired their weapons directly at the army of douches that called themselves the adventurers. They fired at them, and let's just say it was more of a bloodbath when the moment they brought their tank in, so many of the other adventurers don't even know what it was, and sooner or later they were fucked. When the moment the tank fired one round shell, it killed a portion of those douche familias, leaving nothing but blood and organs splattered painted across the ground. So many other of the douche familiar were scared, horrified that their fellow companions were massacred. Some of them tried to, but luck. However, they were being killed off by the Reds and Blues and by their tank. It was a massacre. The whole place became nothing more but a bloody war zone with so many of those douche adventurers' blood and organs and guts splattered across the place, nothing left. Some were there, but however the duel with Bell, that's when the leader saw half of his men dead, killed, splattered organs. However, Hestia had enough of this, used her god powers and said it was enough. That was enough, making the leader, and the group ran away for their life, and however many other high-ranking monsters came from within the shadows. The Reds and Blues realized that this was a code red, so they got into their war dogs and started, even if it meant helping those douches adventurers, which they did. Lilia and Wilson and Bell also did as well. The Reds and Blues fired their weapons dock in the rocket launcher turret of the Wardog, fired at every single monster, high-ranking or low-ranking, were scattered, killed and blown away. Ha ha. Feel oblivion, you pathetic woodless monster. O'Malley chuckled maniacally. Simmons on the turret of the Warthog also fired. Well yeah, suck it you pathetic worthless monsters. Ha ha. Simmons said, enjoying the fun of killing every single monster. Bell was also firing his pistol while also stabbing it with a Spartan knife. He continued helping as well, until the Titan monster came in. Luckily it was over. It was overkilled by the power of both families and the Reds and Blues firepower before it collapsed on its back. Many of the thug adventurers who were mean to Bell and the Reds and Blues thanked them that this was a day all the other families would be indebted by the Hestia families and the Reds and Blues, and well, let's just say it, the Reds and Blues celebrated for this, saying that they actually earned a big amount portion that they have gotten from killing a lot of monsters. And luckily for Yamatomi, Katsu had a bit of a give Lavernius Tucker, a kiss on the cheek, on the lips for her to join the Hestia Familia, which her old Familia also supported her as well. The Reds and Blues and Hestia Familia can't finally see things going up for them. This is the end of Season 1. S02 Chapter 1, a challenge from the Apollo Familia. Since during the events that happened, since during the underground part of the dungeon, since during the whole monster attack on the adventurers, the Reds and Blues among with Bell and the rest of his party members of the Hestia Familia saving the other their douches, especially the kind ones from other families. We've been world-renowned, famous in this kind of way. But sometimes being famous can also lead to ups and downs, and also can give you a bit of a target on your back that will actually make other familias, the other ones, give unwanted attention. The Reds and Blues, after going into the dungeon along with the Hestia Familia, continued slaying even more and more kinds of monsters across the way. Also actually getting more money, and decide to celebrate it by actually having a bit of a feast. Oriya banquet, you could say, for the colorful heroes of Hestia Familia, which Hestia couldn't help but admire. She was too busy doing goddess work. Sina Bell and the Reds Bell alongside the Reds and Blues and his party members to have the banquet to themselves, seeing that they were at the same tavern just like always, enjoying themselves with fun. The Reds and Blues started having conversations with the Hestia Familia, talking about their longtime adventurers. Like for example, Caboose explained everything, saying this: "Oh, you would have believed if you saw the stuff in our world. You would have gone completely insane by the stuff we did. Trust me, someone was stupid, crazy and awesome at the same time," Caboose said with excitement. "Yeah, trust me. Still, things weren't always the same. We have lost a friend along the way," Tucker said, looking down, which all the other members of Red and Blues looked down, seeing that they knew who Tucker was talking to, none other than the AI known as Church. "You know, I've been wondering if you guys are rather curious about this so-called Church," Bell said curiously. "I know. I'm guessing he was someone special to you. A friend, an acquaintance," Lily said, even more curious. "You could say that he was Blue Team's former leader ever since he passed away," Agent Washington said in a grim tone. "Yeah, he wasn't human, but an artificial intelligence. And if you're wondering what an artificial intelligence is, it means AI. So technically he was created by humanity. He's not exactly perhaps called a ghost, but he's also, well, you could say special in a kind of way." "Is that so? Man, talking about your world is rather beyond anything I could ever imagine. Way past cool. Beyond anything. I mean, normally I want to visit there too. You could say that the world we come from is very much advanced, that humanity has evolved beyond anything you could ever imagine. Going from beyond the stars, that's something we have accomplished. Holy crap, you actually were able to go into space, that is so cool," Bell said with excitement. "Yeah, trust me. There was an alien-human war that lasted about until the war came to an end with humanity and the aliens made a peace treaty," Serge said. "Oh man, talk about one hell of an epic war that humanity has been through. Yeah, I know it wasn't easy seeing that so many lives have been lost, but in the end humanity was able to rebuild, seeing that there were many colonies across not just Earth, but planets as well, that had the same atmosphere and life just like it." Carolina said, "Man, I wish I would have done anything to go to your world, seeing going beyond the stars and seeing how life is beyond anything I could ever imagine." Bell said, "Well, it certainly seems that you really know how to talk a lot. You really know how to get on my nerves," said a voice, getting the attention of both Bell, the Reds and Blues and his party members to turn around to see an arrogant prick from the Apollo Familia. "And who the hell might you be?" Griff said, looking at the Apollo Familia. "And what now?" "My name is Hyacinthos Cleo, the leader of the head of Apollo Familia." "Seen in that you must be the Reds and Blues of the so-called pathetic excuse of the Hestia Familia." The Reds and Blues kind of got a bit annoyed by this arrogant prick, seeing if they want to put this so-called Hyacinthos Cleo to the ground so much that they want to beat him to a near pulp. Cleo only said that you'd think you act all so tough even with these so-called advanced weapons and that you were from another world. You really think you could defeat us, the greatest familiar? The Reds and Blues started to get a bit annoyed by this arrogant prick. They just won't mess with the wrong group of people. Washington got up from his seat and looked directly at Cleo, only to say this: now you better listen here, you damn arrogant prick. You don't talk to my teammates like that. You're nothing more about some selfish prick who acts all high and mighty. We are soldiers who fight and die with honor, Agent Washington said to Cleo with an agitated look on his face. Is that so? Then I dare to fight me and my Familia right now, right here. The Reds and Blues did not say anything, but looked at each other and got into some fighting stands. The Reds and Blues fought against the Apollo Familia, and that was a brutal brawl, and some of them were almost lost. But luckily, Carolina's martial arts and combat, hand-to-hand combat, was able to pay off, saying that she was able to take care of the first two pricks of the Hestia of Familiar Tucker, among which Simmons were able to do hand-to-hand combat, saying that they can't use their firearms in the open, they would actually kill them. So they had to do this quick and easy. The beatdown for the down kind of didn't happen. Similar to the anime, seeing that with the Reds and Blues there, the Apollo Familiar kind of gotten themselves beaten to a bloody pulp. Agent Washington pointed his finger directly at Cleo, only for him to say that that's what happens when you mess with the Reds and Blues. You really fucked up this time. Cleo couldn't help but chuckle. So hey, you really were screwed up, Cleo said, giving up a sinister, arrogant grin directly at Washington, which the freelancer behind his helmet had a bit of a raised eyebrow in confusion. You don't know anything. But I guess you really want to start a war between us, eh? Cleo said to the Reds and Blues. The Reds and Blues looked at each other and then looked back at Cleo. What are you getting at? Tucker said to Cleo. My God, Apollo actually wanted to do something. If you were really the strongest man, this is so-called advanced technology, no way you would have witnessed Apollo getting ready to be in love with Hestia. The Reds and Blues along with Bell and his two teammates looked at the man in shock. What are you getting at? Carolina said with even rage and killer intention, making most of the adventurers choke on the uncontrollable pressure from her. Killer intention except for the Reds and Blues and Bell and his party members. I want you to join, to fight us in these war games to see if you guys are really good. If not, and you're just a bunch of cowards. The Reds and Blues were kind of furious seeing that they just snapped at one of Apollo Fellow's adventurers, only for Carolina to sucker punch him in the face, knocking him out cold. The Reds and Blues along with Hestia Familia looked at each other and nodded, saying that they need to be prepared for this. S02 Chapter 2, Accepting the Challenge. The Apollo Familia. The Reds and Blues got back from giving the Apollo pricks adventurer members a bit of an ass whooping that they'll never forget. They returned to the broken church. Bell explained the whole situation to Hestia. Seeing that Hestia was rather shocked and seeing that she was able to get an invitation to go to a party among with some of her members also decide to come as well to join this party. Even the Reds and Blues were shocked at the Apollo Familiar letting them come to the party. Seeing that they had no other choice, seeing that the Reds and Blues despise arrogant pricks like Apollo, they decided to let it slide for now. But if they did know instead Apollo is to try anything suspicious, there would have been not even a next time for him. The Reds and Blues with Bell and the rest of his party went in. Seeing that there had been so many people dressed, seeing that the Reds and Blues wore some casual clothing without their armors. So many of the goddesses and goddesses, especially along with their party members, looked at the Reds and Blues with curiosity. Seeing that they were the ones that got a lot of intentions, seeing that the Reds and Blues kind of were a bit creeped out, but also kind of understanding that the attention was always between the people who had incredibly advanced technology. Many of the Reds and Blues heard gossiping or whispering from the gods and goddesses, saying some good stuff, while others said some arrogant stuff. But seeing that the Reds and Blues noticed that the gods and goddesses aren't really that strong, seeing that they could have been strong like from Dragon Ball Z, but not really, seeing that they were just typical ordinary gods, the Reds and Blues continued enjoying the part. Tucker was just to be the admirer in the place. Seeing that there were so many other women, just seeing that he knew his pervert instincts were about to kick in but he didn't want to embarrass himself, he decided to remain calm and casual about the whole situation. Cabas was too busy acting like a fool, just doing nothing more but just looking around the place. Sarge explained about his war stories, about everything from some of the stuff that happened in Blood Gulch to the other gods and goddesses. Seeing that they were surprised and shocked between the world they come from was way more advanced compared to the one that they have seen, they couldn't help but feel a little bit outdated and obsolete. Griff was doing his usual thing but just eating off all the food like a fat ass. He is. However, Carolina doesn't like it when other men are trying to hit on her. You know what happens when you piss off Carolina and when you try to hit on her. She beats you to a pulp and breaks your dick in half. And well, while Simmons explained about all the scientific stuff and everything from his world, seeing that the science from his world was pretty much far beyond anything that the gods could ever imagine and goddesses as well, seeing that the science technology stuff was rather advanced. However, Apollo, who was watching this, got agitated from well seeing that the Reds and Blues were getting more attention compared to him, which was a petty excuse. Yes, his reasons were kind of petty, but seeing that he does want it to be in love with Hestia of all people, unlike the Reds and Blues didn't want to disturb her. And well seen that the Reds and Blues were rather going to be a bit of a thorn on this problem, but they think nothing more but just a bunch of idiots. And however, for Lopez, let's just speak Spanish and no one can understand it. Well, except for the gods. See that they could understand that they don't understand why the red team would actually have a Spanish-speaking robot, seeing that they could just think that maybe it was a voice box change for a machine. However, Donut was talking to the goddesses about fashions and well, yeah, seeing that the female goddesses ride our maze and seeing that they decide to also gossip about clothing as well. And well, for Doc, let's just say Sony Fiber kind of creeped out and rather scared because of a split personality always trying to take over. So well, let's just say. Apollo came in and explained everything about him wanting Hestia to marry him and decide to never allowing the Reds and Blues to come back. Which shocked them. Seeing that they were finally welcomed to a place that I was actually letting them only for Apollo to say I challenged both the Reds and Blues and the Hestia Familia that if these were really the worthy opponents that I'm seeing here in front of me, Apollo said with an arrogant smile and an arrogant tone in his voice, so many of the Reds and Blues really wanted to beat the shit up out of him permanently, like knocking his tooth out. So many were trying to hold back their anger only for Apollo to say this, if these so-called Reds and Blues are the really greatest and heroic people, I want them to challenge my Familia. And if they don't, then I want them to be kicked out from the world and never come back. The Reds and Blues were kind of furious and outraged by Apollo's demands. But luckily for the Reds and Blues for them to accept this challenge, they got a lot of aces up their sleeves with all their advanced vehicles. Seeing that they wouldn't actually have stand a chance against the Apollo Familia, seeing that they were nothing more but just inferior compared to the Reds and Blues, that there were superior ones from the future, even though that there are idiots, oddballs, misfits, whatever the world want to call them, they were able to do the impossible. They always say the day unlike any other competent person. The Reds and Blues were special individuals. Washington said, I accept your challenge, but let me warn you one thing, we always have an ace up our sleeves, Agent Washington said to Apollo, giving him a smug grin. Which Apollo was rather confused by. Agent Washington said that they had a few aces up their sleeves, which made Apollo kind of worried. But he doesn't care if they send in some other toys or fancy weapons at him, it still doesn't matter. But CNA kind of screwed up a bit, but he doesn't care. In the end, his familiar will always be better. But seeing that the Reds and Blues know this, they know that he's fucked. Some of the Reds and Blues were ready for this. Bell was a bit nervous, but he knew he cannot rely on the Reds and Blues. He remembered a training session that Washington had said to him. You can't always rely on us for long enough. You have to fight your own wars and battles by yourself. And always remember that you always have your team there to support you, Washington said in his flashback before it ended into the current time. Bell had a determined look and squeezed his fist tighten, looked at it with a determination, ready to beat a pal familiar to a pulp. The Reds and Blues can know that he is fucked against them. So the Reds and Blues left the party and were ready for tomorrow's event, a fight against Apollo Familia. S02 Chapter 3, Hestia Familia vs Apollo Familia. The day has finally come for the big event. Seeing that the Reds and Blues decided to challenge those so-called pricks of the Apollo Familia, seeing that they themselves were about to be fucked up pretty badly, seeing that they are arrogant. Luckily for Reds and Blues, they were able to, well, let's just say able to get themselves the vehicles they needed. A gas gun, Warthog a missile turret. Warthog and the Scorpion Tank 2.0 especially silly, seeing that Simmons was able to repair Freckles' Caboose's old Pat. Seeing that he was happy. The Reds and Blues continued to make their way to the Apollo Familia. Seeing that those so-called arrogant fools have no idea the incredible firepower of the Reds and Blues will show them fear for what happens when you mess with the advanced and technological futuristic people. Bell and his party members took a different route, while the Reds and Blues took another route as well, causing a bit of destruction and mayhem with their advanced weaponry and vehicles. The Apollo Familia had some group of many people, but little did the Apollo no Familia know that there was a spy among them. Apollo Familia won a boss. It's one of those red versus blue guys. Apollo Familia member 2, so what, it could possibly mean that they just come in here just so they can just die. Apollo is familiar number 1. No, he's riding on something that looks big, metallic. It almost looks like a, but before the Apollo Familiar number 2 could say anything, got shot. Shot with a huge explosion, getting everyone's attention. His blood and organs splattered, painted the ground and wall, destroying the wall itself, shocking every single Apollo Familiar that saw this, like they were scared and horrified. A tank. The Scorpion Tank busted through the wall among the 2 Warthogs driving from the left side and right side, putting their turret guns directly at them. Okay, listen here, you dirtbags. Either you better be careful what you do, or perhaps you will either end up dead, just like your friend. Surge said to them. Which the Apollo Familia started to charge directly at the Reds and Blues, which was a stupid mistake, seeing that they had primitive weapons compared to the Reds and Blues had advanced weaponry. However, every Apollo Familiar charged directly at them. The fight was more of a slaughterhouse. So many of the Apollo Familia got rammed or road-killed by Simmons driving and Griff on the missile turret. Blowing them up. The scene was so gruesome, so many of the other Apollo families looked in horror, ran for the lies. But they were shot with their blood and organs, painting the ground by the Scorpion Tank. And who else is driving the Caboo? Who else is driving the Scorpion Tank? None other than our lovable idiot Blue member Caboose. After what happened with the incident with a certain Blue leader, but luckily, Caboose was able to know twice. Luckily, the freelancers were able to make it on foot while the rest of the other Reds and Blues were taking care of the ground forces. Carolina and Washington had some good experiences. Carolina, using her martial arts and hand-to-hand combat, was able to beat down a lot of the male and female Apollo Familia groups. Wash was pretty good. Agent Washington was good with his knife and using his pistol, going full on Metal Gear Solid, shooting and backstabbing each and every one of the Apollo Familia. Apollo himself was watching in shock and horror, seeing so many of his familial members drop down dead on the floor like flies by the onslaught. These people are monsters. No, they are demons, Apollo said in horror. Especially many of the gods who were watching this were even surprised, saying that they now know that they didn't want to mess with the Hestia Familia. That these groups of armored individuals were more like were people who casted judgment upon those who dare look down on others. Weakened, innocent. They wouldn't come back alive in a body bag. Back on the wars, back on the battlefield between the fight versus Hestia Familia and Apollo Familia, seeing that there weren't any more ground forces to be taken down by the group of thanks to the Reds and in Blues with their armored vehicles, especially Freckles as well, they decided to secure the facility or mean the area. Luckily for Bell, seeing that he was able to have been trained better by Agent Washington and the Reds and Blues, he made his way directly to the main area where he fight against him, the leader of the Hestia Familia. I mean, Apollo Familia. Bell had a determined look even though he was young, he couldn't help but realize that Agent Washington treated him more like he was more like a father figure too. Even though his training was strict, he couldn't help but consider the Reds and Blues were more like the oddballs even though they were misfits, but he still considered them more like family, which gave him a bit of encouragement. He made his way to the room. However, the fight did not went just like in the anime. Bell rushed directly towards him. However, thanks to his knife and pistol from Agent Washington's training and martial arts skill from Carolina, he was able to outmatch him by shooting me in the right arm and was able to disable him even though the fight was short. But Belle was able to come on top, and luckily for that, the fight between the Hestia Familia and the Apollo Familia came to an end. The Reds and Blues can help but cheered at their victory and jumped up with excitement. "Well, now talk about that was easier than expected," Griff said. "I know. Don't forget that we're in another world, seeing that they only have primitive weapons compared to us," Simmons said. "With the gods, odds and goddesses." They were rather impressed and shocked, to say the least. Especially a certain someone. Belle's grandfather Zeus couldn't help but smile and give up tears of joy for his grandson's son, especially with his new unusual kind of party members as well. Apollo just didn't say a word, like he just fainted in a more of a comedic way. Seeing his own familiar was beaten by a group of super advanced people from the future, Hestia couldn't help but smile at Belle and the Reds and Blues, especially other party members as well, seeing that they just really know what happens when you mess up with the Reds and Blues. And luckily for them, even though they won, they were able to get more than just a huge amount of reward. They got more than this reward, a lot more than they could have imagined. This reward came in a lot of money, especially a mansion, which the Reds and Blues and Belle and his party members were happy for as well, that they finally get to move out of that abandoned church and into a fancy-looking mansion. Seeing that the Reds seeing that, well, let's just say Sarge and Washington decided to put on some decoration for the mansion in the front, showing an insignia of both, half the Spartan helmet, one side red and the other side blue, which then again, they decided to change the Hestia Familia to something even better. A classic name. They decided to change it to the Blood Gulch Familia, which Hestia couldn't help but think that it had a bit of a cool theme to it. It was a lot better and a lot cooler. And luckily for that, they also put a flag in it on the roof, showing their insignia to the world, especially Loki. The Loki Familia also saw the Reds and Blues, especially Belle, triumph against the Apollo Familia. Irons couldn't help but smile at Belle, saying that he was able to get a lot stronger than before, thanks to the training he went through for the Reds and Blues. S02 Chapter 4, A New Headquarters and Daily Workout. After the events of fighting against and defeating the Apollo Familia, the Reds and Blues, I'm with their Hestia familial ally, could help but be a lot more excited than ever before. Seeing that they finally got themselves a new living quarters and finally some new comfort beds for once instead of sleeping on hard ground. That was kind of a bit of a pain, but the Reds and Blues were finally I like it to have something while Sarge was busy doing his own thing as well. Griff, always the lazy fan ass, was always doing his usual thing as well. Always likes to be lazy, eating the food and doing his own personal stuff as well. Simmons and Lopez were doing their nerd stuff with science as well. For Blue Team, Carolina Wash were busy, Talker was just always asleep, sleep on the bed. Caboose, being Caboose, was just doing the idiotic stuff. Doc was actually doing more of his medic evil way, and Donut was more of his doing his fashion thing. The Hestia Familiar were also busy, seeing that they were thinking about doing something within the future, sometime in the future. The Reds that they needed to think of what the next day would be, and, well, the Reds and Blues, seeing that they had nothing else to do, seeing that they were just busy getting used to new places, Bill decided to also improve his skills as well. But seeing that, well, so many of them of many adventurers were also couldn't help but admire, could help but admire the Reds and Blues as well. So that there were so many fanboys and fangirls of the Reds and Blues. And well, you could say the next day came in a normal usual day for the Reds and Blues. Luckily the Reds and Blues were ready, and yes, let's just say it was more of well, you could say a training, and luckily in the back of the mansion the Reds and Blue decided to do something basic, bringing back something that made them felt homesick, the basic Red and Blue basis of Blood Gulch. So yeah, let's just say they were doing their monthly training. Washington explained everything about their training, firearms, melee weapons and grenades. So let's just say the whole training thing went into complete chaos. Yeah, it was more of a comedic, you know what I mean, comedic relief type of thing. Couldn't help but just sweat drop, and I'm guessing that this is always a usual thing for you guys to do on a daily basis. Hestia said, trust me, it's always a daily basis for us to deal with. Carolina replied to Hestia. The goddess couldn't help but admire the kind of comedy that's always shown a positive attitude, even though it was more like a positive way, seeing them fighting and disagreeing over things, it always sparkled. A hope, a joy of hope within her. Wilson and Lily were trying their best using firearms, seeing that they were doing pretty good, but their aim sucks a bit. But who are we to judge them, seeing that they were just in a primitive world with technology, a little bit of technology, and Simmons was able to use the portal to create it even more better, bringing stuff, even more stuff like mongoose, alien weaponry stuff as well, in case of a future. And well, let's just say they needed that firepower just in case. Not to mention especially tanks as well, including a warthog that has the ability to carry supplies to other stuff. And you could say they do need a lot of firepower just in case of dealing with some big-time situations. But seeing that the Reds and Blues were ready for a rather unique thing, that they were about to get ready to be run into another Familia of an Amazonian tribe type. This is Familia. Familia was called, well, Ishtar Familia. Seeing that they themselves were about to get themselves into one hell of a surprise running into the Reds and Blues. S02 Chapter 5, Running into the Ishtar Familia. It was another day at the Hestia, or Blood Gulch Familia. Seeing that the Reds and Blues were nothing else better to do, see that there was nothing else to do at the field, seeing that there wasn't any other quest to be done, seeing that there were just low-ranking quests, seeing that, well, you could say Yamato, Makoto and Donut Lopez decided to take on some of the other quests. While the Reds and Blues were busy doing some stuff in Orario, Tucker and Bell decided to do their own stuff as well. Seeing that Tucker did want to see some of those chicks, especially the Amazonian ones. Besides, we say it's Tucker. But anyway. Bell and Tuck were just looking around the place and seeing that there wasn't anything. Seeing that they were in the part of Orario where so many of the guys were busy having a great time. And well, let's just say Tucker and Bell were too busy just looking around the place, seeing that there was nothing else, seeing that there was nothing better to do, two of them weren't doing much. But when the moment they were about to leave, a group of 4 Amazonian women came in. The first one named was. The first Amazonian girl was Aisha Belka and the second one was Hold On Lean Tally. Couldn't help but look at them. So I'm guessing that you must be the fearless member of the Reds and Blues of Blood Gulch, Lena said, amused by Tucker, which couldn't help but blush. Well, now it certainly seems that you must be Bell as well, Bell Cornell, Isha said, amused. Tucker kind of couldn't help but felt he was going to be able to pervert it, but seeing that he couldn't help a situation and the atmosphere felt a bit uneasy. Yeah, we're the Blood, the 2 members of the Blood Gulch crew that was able to take care of the pricks of the so-called Apollo Familia, Tucker said. Is that so? I'm rather amazed and admired seeing that a group of people like you were able to do something ballsy like that. Aisha said, amused. Not to mention you two to have some of those fancy weaponry as well, Lena said, amused. Trust me, let's just say he kind of had some experience. So yeah, it wasn't really much special, Bell said. But seeing that Aisha decided to invite Bell and Tucker to become part of the to take Dempted Up Ishtar Familia, the 2 members of the Blood Gulch Familia made their way to the Ishtar Familia where 4 female Amazonians lustfully looked at the 2 individuals. Bell blushed and well, Tucker did felt a bit uncomfortable but also kind of in love at first. Amazonian female one. Well, aren't you rather a fine hunk of man? She said lustfully. Tucker couldn't help but take it as a compliment. But also kind of a bit nervous at first. He could finally had a bit of some sex with these hot Amazonian babes. However, well, let's just say it's when a moment the fat Morby as a beast one came in called Fame Jamieo, which Tucker did not say a word. Not say a word, but just flipped. Pardon me. Felt like he wanted to have a bit of a restraining order against her of all people. Because well, let's just say she wasn't really the most attractive against among what? Her Amazonian sisters after all. Even Bell was kind of freaked out as well. And luckily the leader of the Amazonian group came in none other than Ishtar. Ishtar looked at the 2 members of Blood Gulch Familia. So you must be the famous members of the Blood Gulch Familia. Belcolonel Lavernius Tucker. It seems that this is a real honor to meet you 2 in my presence, Ishtar said, bowing. Tucker couldn't help but admire this, but felt like he had a feeling within her himself, realizing if he did turn out the offer, if they both, it would have been a death sentence execution. Which he knew that this wasn't going to be easy. He only wished that his other member of his Familia would come here sooner or later. Within a nick of time. Washington, Lily, Griff, Sarge, Donut came as well. Now listen here, you ladies. You want to let our friend go, especially the aquamarine dirtbag as well, Sarge said, cocking his shotgun. The Amazonian members of the Ishtar Familia were surprised, seeing that they knew if they wanted to fight, but realizing if they fought them, then they would have gone there themselves, killed in the spotlight. So they had to think about this twice, seeing that this was a scenario for them to realize it. So I'm guessing that you other members also came as well. I didn't expect you all to come here at once, Ishtar said. That's right, you let our teammates go. They don't want to join your familiar, even if you force them to. They decide their own choice. Besides, they're my men as well after all. Even if you are goddess. You saw what happened the last time when the moment we kicked the butts of the Loki Familia. It didn't ended well, Washington said, making the other Amazonian women in the room kind of fearful by the scenario of them getting blown up, or even worse, that they had to think twice. Ishtar realized this as well. Even though she doesn't have much of a god power, she realized that she wouldn't stand a chance against the members of the Blood Gulf Familia as Char decides to let Tucker and Bell go. But even though she could help but admire their heroicness, seeing that she did know that she was testing them and she could tell that they had something of a light burning within them, something that none other familiar member of her familiar member noticed this, but she smiled and nodded. Tucker didn't say much but looked back and didn't say nothing, but just walked away. One of the Amazonians kind of did have a bit of a crush on him, seeing that she knew that even though he kind of was perverted, but he had some character development, so she knows that she had to keep her distance. But deep down she did have a bit of a crush for Lordius Tucker. The Reds and Blues made their way back, seeing that they avoided of another conflict by another. S02 Chapter 6, Bell's New Abilities. After running into the Ishtar Familia. The Reds and Blues know that the Ishtar Familia didn't really have much of a grudge compared to the others, especially Apollo, seeing that he's already down with all of his familiar members so that he won't be able to be showing his face ever again in public. The Reds and Blues, however, were doing their own comedic style daily routines. Like Sarge giving his usual Red speech of everything else. Which kind of got a bit annoying from Hestia. Keep on, well, getting annoyed by every single. And well, you could say I know Sarge is always the one that always needs to know how to gossip. It always showed the Reds that they were superior, and well, yeah, it kind of felt like a blessing. Or perhaps a curse, or perhaps a punishment for being so arrogant. Either way, it felt like it was a burden or something, but she couldn't complain much. But seeing that blue team, however, were with Bell, doing their daily routine of finding quests, and luckily enough, they were able to find some unusual kinds of quests. The blue team, among with Bell, went off exploring the dungeon even further, seeing that there could have been something rather unusual, seeing that there could be life underneath the dungeons. If the dungeons weren't created by goddess or the gods, perhaps it would have been created by an alien advanced race. Tucker and Washington looked around the place, seeing that they did come into a few monsters. Seeing that some of them were higher low ranking, they were able to deal with them swiftly with their advanced technology weaponry. Bell, on the other hand, was needed to unlock. Seeing that he unlocked a fire ability, seeing that his party member and Reds and the Blues were watching this in amazement, seeing that this was something he was able to do, that he was able to develop it more oftenly, but seeing that it was just a fire spell in its weak stages, they realized that he can't do much. Seeing that it might actually drain his stamina. Luckily for the blue team, their ranks gotten higher and so were their levels, especially Bell. His level was around 30, while the blue team had a bit of a higher level because they had to everyone in our world. Their experience had gone further beyond the people of Warario. Blue team continued killing off monsters and other beasts that were even higher or lower. However, Washington was kind of a bit more intrigued with Bell, seeing that he did develop his power, his skill, but realizing that he can't just do it alone. So after they were done with the quest taking care of the monsters within, seen that Bell needed to develop his powers. So Washington needed to do some more target practice. When they got back, they were able to get more money. However, let's just say a group of a bunch of douches were about to rob them in the well. Let's just say they got the hard way. And what I mean is the hard way, getting their asses kicked and broken bones and bruises, which didn't end it in a good way. Many of the adventurers realized that they just effed up the moment they got back to the mansion. Washington told Bell to improve his fire skill, which Bell did. Washington and Bell went to the training area. Okay, so I'm guessing that you were able to show me how to trade my powers. Bell said. That's right. Right now we need to see how good you can go. But this time, seeing that your fire skill can drain your stamina, Washington showed Bell some which Bell decided to do if they needed to focus more and more with his firepower. Washington and Bell trained non-stop. So the Bell is able to make his fire skill powerful and powerful by the second. Not to mention he needs a fire on his sword as well, increasing the damage he was able to create. Luckily for Simmons, he was able to create some movable mannequins which were pretty sentient, which Simmons was able to control for this training scenario. Bell was able to get strong by the second by using his knife, shooting a lot of fire blasts directly at the two upcoming mannequins, burning them to a crisp. So how do you think I did? Bell said to Washington. You were a pretty good kid. Keep this up, don't stop, Washington said to Bell, giving him a thumbs up. They'll return with a thumbs up as well and charge directly at them. One of the mannequins had a sword. However, Bell was able to dodge it and shot the mannequin in the head by using the pistol still. And the second one, he threw the knife directly at the mannequin's head, killing off the two mannequins, which Washington was impressed with. Seeing it just reminded him of his old days of Project Freelancer. But he couldn't help but be admired. He was more of a pupil, but Washington couldn't help but think that Bell was more of a son. Seeing that the Reds and Blues might be idiots, but he considered them as family. Even though trouble always finds them in every corner. Either it was fate or perhaps something else. But seeing that the Reds and Blues would always never back down on a fight or just let some douches just run around getting off scotch-free. See that the Reds and Blues are just always an unpredictable force to the world. Washington continued with his training scenario with Bell. The other members of Blue Team. S02 Chapter 7, Unexpected Surprises. Since during the whole ordeal that happened with the other Familia, some of the Reds and Blues continued doing their own things. However, Griff was the lazy fat ass always likes to eat and munch. However, Sarge will always come in there kick his fat ass, Sarge scolding the fat ass of Red Team. Tucker, on the other hand, was too busy thinking about something like he could have this weird feeling like something big is about to happen, but he decided to shake it off. Carolina and Washington were training Bell to his fullest capability. After all, seeing that Carolina had to be a bit strict on Bell, especially Hestia. Hestia and Lily can help but admire Bell. Caboose was doing his own things, being dumb and just admiring the world. Donut, on the other hand, was doing his fashion thing. Simmons was also among with Lopez was also doing kit maintenance with the vehicles. The Amazonian of the Familiar that they ran in last night wanted to join the Blood Gulch Familia. She was amazed by its advanced weaponry and technology from their world. Sooner or later that this would actually advance humankind, but seeing that they can't trust the people, saying that there are some people who want to use it for idiotic reasons or stupid reasons. She could understand that thing that she did know that it was them. That kicked the Apollo's asses. However, Simmons, Tucker, Bell even alongside Caboose and Doc were heading into the dungeons to do random quest for the guild. However, he saw movement Tucker's side take out his inner sword and was about to kill some monster until he saw it. Something that looked like a monster but didn't act like any of the other monsters in the dungeon. However, the monster that was in front of them almost looked a bit human-like, quite a fusion of a girl and a reptilian. Tucker didn't want to kill, but it felt like that, but not at the same time. Caboose is there alongside Tucker and hugged a girl. Only, Tucker said, "What are you? You don't seem like the typical monster." Tucker said, looking at the monster girl in front of him. Only for the monster girl, say help me. Before passing out, Tucker was concerned about this and yelled for help, which Bell and Simmons and Doc as well saw, but all could not believe what he's seeing. Some unusual kind of monster girl. Even Simmons was rather amazed and fascinated, since he never seen a monster like this before. Sure, they're a monster infested, but this was something beyond anything that they could comprehend. And this is the end of Season 2. S03 Chapter 1, The Unknown Monster That It Has Feelings. The group with Bell were completely busy fighting his monsters. But however, when they stumble across this unknown monster that had a bit of her that had, like you can say, reptilian, that was more like a reptile, but more human-like appearance parents, the group was completely shocked. Caboose was hugging it, thinking that it was kind of cute. Kind of cute. Tucker, Simmons, Doc and Bell were curious, saying that there were a lot of questions and answers. Answers beyond anything. Sure, they fought against monsters when the Reds and Blues arrived, saying that they were just mindless beasts that didn't have any common sense or just brain-dead idiots, brain-dead beasts that don't have anything else better to do. But when the moment encountered this girl, it was something that they have never witnessed before. Like this. As if this creature had, like, a mind of its own. But it took on a human-like appearance. But except it only had reptilian scales. What the hell is this thing? Tucker said in shock. Well, I have seen many monsters that we have fought in my journal, but this one doesn't seem to be attacking us. It seems like she is scared of us, Simmons said. And how the fuck could this monster be afraid of us? I mean, we fought against many monsters the moment we got here. But this one's new. Is this some kind of new species or something else? Tucker said to Simmons. Well, how the hell should I know? I mean, I'm more of a robotics, not like some biological person that was able to figure out animals or insects. Simmons replied. Of course you are. You're supposed to be the nerd type of red team. I don't know how you could learn everything. Tucker said, insulting Simmons, with Simmons kind of felt a bit insulted. I don't know, you guys, it certainly seems that this monster girl is certainly something else. I mean, we have seen many creatures before, but this one here seems to be some kind of anomaly or something else beyond anything that we can ever imagine. Doc said to them. Like, as if that could be a theory. Tucker said. I don't know, but she's rather kind of cute. She likes me. Caboose said, looking at the girl, kind of felt a bit safe around Caboose. Of course, that she will be around you. But she's just a kid. That will make you more like a fucking pedophile. Tucker said to Caboose. What does the word pedophile mean? Caboose said. Oh, my god. It means that, you know what? I don't got time to explain because, well, let's just say right now we should be more concerned about her. Tucker said, try not to argue anymore because of Caboose's stupidity of his brain. Well, then how about doing some tests on her just to make sure if she's fine or doesn't have any sickness? Doc said. Please allow me to show her some real good experiments by actually extracting her DNA, or perhaps doing a DNA sample as well to make her hear screams will be excruciating. Ah, O'Malley said, laughing maniacally. Come on now, O'Malley. There's no need to be so aggressive. She's just a kid, after all. Doc said. Oh, shut up, you damn pacifist. So first we should do things the hard way, seeing that these so-called damn brave, annoying douches adventurers always know how to get in our way. After all, we shall show them through pain. The Doc said. Talking. O'Malley said, talking to his pacifist counterpart. Right now, we should be more. Right now, we should actually take her back to our HQ, Tucker said. Are you really sure about that? I mean, certainly it seems many other people are suspicious of us having a monster roaming around, Bell said. I know, but still, we have no other choices. Seeing that, we see that we're more. We need to examine what exactly we're dealing with here. Here, Simmons said to Bell. Fine, I guess I mean, to be honest, I think that you might actually be saying that we must have to get our priorities straight, Simmons said. Yeah, you're right. Because we're going to have to be careful with this thing. Luckily, we brought in that big box that Caboose can able to carry her inside. Tucker said. Tucker brought out a big box. Luckily, it was not a heavy kind of way, but light-weighted. Light-weighted. They need to bring the monster girl inside the container Caboose by accidentally throwing her, but she kind of groaned a bit but luckily was able to put. Luckily, I put some holes inside of the container making sure she was able to breathe some oxygen. Caboose was able to pick up the box and it wasn't that big. It was more like a rectangular shape. Luckily, Tucker's ale brought some food. Seeing that the monster girl was able to eat human food, to his surprise, seeing that they never seen a monster eat human food before. Seeing that it was something beyond anything's belief. But seeing the things that they have seen in this world can't shock them. Seeing that they have dealt with a lot of crazier things before. But, well, let's just say they were busy. So you decide to sneak the girl out. Yet when they made their way out, many of them were questioning what was inside that thing, seeing their duds or something. But well, let's just say. The Reds. Tucker, Simmons and Doc tried to keep things low cover, seeing that there was nothing more but just something. The sounds of something that they found. Just some useless stuff they found as a kind of a lying story. Not to draw any suspicions. However, it is a group of above. But adventures that are douches wanted, whatever they have. But however, let's just say those douche adventures kind of fucked up. When the moment they did try to attack them. Let's just say Tucker slashes 2 of them, leaving their corpses mangled up. Good luck. Good luck as well. For the other 2, Doc kind of exploded. I'm leaving. Guts, organs and guts all over the place with blood painted everywhere. The last adventure tried to run, but while you could say Simmons shot him with his battle rifle making that adventure douche die with bullet holes. Luckily, they were able to make it to the adventurer clan, where they were able to fulfill the quest and was able to, well, gather the rewards. One moment they returned. Let's just say before they were returning with the Hestia Familia. The HQ. In the backyard. Carolina in Washington was able to help Welf and Makoto would hand-to-hand combat relying on weapons too much, which were able to get the gist of it. Seeing that they were able to do too good, not to mention good with firearms as well. Seeing that, well, Makoto wanted her Spartan armor to be something more like a Japanese traditional samurai for a female kind of way as well as for Wolf. And he wanted it to look more like a knight armor, shiny armor kind of way. Seeing that he wanted more look like something good. Which Caroline in Washington said that they will do it. But that's one. The moment everyone saw the group came back from their previous adventure in the dungeons. Not to mention with some of the reward and in Caboose carrying a box, a rectangular big box which was kind of medium size. On his backs, many of the Hestia, Familia, Lily, Welf and Makoto wanted to know what's inside the box, while Tucker said to Makita there was nothing but just some useless junk they had found in the dungeon. Which wasn't surprising, seeing that, well, it wasn't much, but seeing that they can't do much. Well, let's just say if it wasn't anything useful, then it's fine. Bell said. For them to actually have a secret meeting with his party members. While the Reds and Blues have their own secret meeting in the backyard of one of the bases that look like Blood Gulch in its glory or in its glory eras. And, well, let's just say Sarge put his hand on beside the door inside the base, closing the doors, and yes, let's just say the Red Team and Blues were able to give modifications with security turrets that have a setting with either real guns or machine gun turrets or rocket launchers can actually put the stun or lethal. And well, you could say, let's just say there were holes where they dug up corpses that were either of a bunch of bandits or rogue adventurers that tried to take their stuff only to end up being, well, obliterated or killed by the turrets or it's in a bloody gruesome way. A moment, but with that a whole lot of way. The Reds and Blues were having a secret meeting. So you care to tell us what exactly is going on here? Washington, and why do we have the secret meeting in the Red base of all top places? Carolina said to them. And what's inside that big rectangular box? Griff said, pointing at the box in Caboose's back used as a backpack. Okay, well, let's just say we found something. We found something that is rather more intriguing. Hints beyond anything else. Caboose, put it down and open it. Tucker said, ordering Caboose to put the box down. Caboose gently put the box down. Only for everyone to hear it. Except for Doc, Simmons and Tucker, actually, not to be surprised or rather suspicious. A loud thud came from the box. What the hell was that? Sarge said suspiciously to Tucker, Simmons and Doc. Look, we can explain, but don't freak out the moment we open the box. Besides, you're about to be surprised on what we have found. Simmons said. I'm okay. I mean, now I'm even more curious on what exactly is inside this box. Fox. X. Griff said, seeing that he might actually imagine if there could be food or something else. Details inside the box. Sarge could imagine if there could be new weaponry defeating the Blues. But after what just happened because of the military being a lie. Because of the whole freelancer incident, he decided to drop it. Lopez could think it could be like some new voice box that could make people understand what he's saying. When Tucker opened the container, that same monster girl from the dungeon popped her head out. Surprising. Surprised the rest of the Reds and Blues. Except for Caboose, Tucker and Simmons and Griff. I mean Doc. Look, Doc, what the hell is that? A monster. Why did you bring it here? Washington said to them in complete shock and rage. Look, Wash, let us explain. This monster we found is quite, well, how should we explain? A difference compared to the others. Now, everyone got their treatment on Tucker saying that this monster is different compared to the other monsters. Look, let's just say she can actually experience emotions, not to mention eating food, and also have human emotions, which took them by surprise. Like if there could be other monsters out there that actually have human emotions or feelings. So what you're saying is that there could be other monsters like her out there that have emotions and feelings that act like humans. Washington said, in a stern manner. That's kind of what it sounds like in a nutshell. Tucker and Simmons said in unison. Diggity. Damn, it certainly seems that you boys really have hit something this time. Something bigger than we ever expected. Sarge said in amazement. Well, look, I'm not sure if you can say that this is something big, but I mean, this is something beyond anything that we have ever expected. Griff said. And I knew you were about to think about that. This box might actually have food in it. Tucker said, making Griff shocked. I have no idea. What in the world are you even talking about? Griff said, looking away. Embarrassed. Yeah, sure. Keep telling yourself that. So, Simmons said. So anyway, what exactly should we do with her? I mean, normally I don't think any of the people would be so kindly enough to take kindly to monsters. Washington said. I know that so many other people just use them as bait for others just to kill other adventurers. Pictures. Tours, Carolina said. Well, it certainly seems you really have brought in quite a bit of a treasure to my doorsteps. A certain goddess of the Hestia Familia. None other than Hestia herself. Jesus Christ, how in the world did you even get here? Sarge said in surprise. Well, it's complicated locating, but you know what I could say. Okay, so let's just say you let the back door open. Hestia said, point to the back door of the red base. God dang it, God dang it, take it, Sarge said in annoyance on his floor. Anyway, this monster girl you say actually has emotions. Not to mention it has its own human subconscious, just like humans have. Can also think to itself. Not to mention, you could actually feel and also eat human food, which is rather intriguing. I know. Talk about this rudder. I know. I'll talk about many screwed up things we have seen before in our life. We see many weird shits before. We were just before our life. But this is something else I have never seen before. Yeah, I wonder if there would be a lot of furries that might actually support this. Simon said, whispering to himself. Well, as a goddess myself, I never seen anything like this before. A monster has the ability to think to itself that can actually think, that might actually think, and has the ability to actually be aware. Where is water wearing? But even I was surprised when the moment you guys came along, you changed everything. You even made my Familia become the best in all of Orario. Not to mention able to make you guys become part of my Familia. And also making you guys seem like a part of the family. Seeing that I never even asked for this, but seeing that you might be a bunch of misfits, oddballs, weirdos, but still, you guys have done some things impossible in your world, which made me impressed by you guys. Hestia said to them with confidence and somewhat caring. Some of the Reds and Blues couldn't help but feel something within them, a kind hardness to what it feels to be a family. Griff tried not to cry. Simmons felt so many emotions tearing up within him. And you could say, let's just say the Reds and Blues in the secret meeting don't have their helmets on. Wash and Carolina couldn't help but felt tears of joy. Tucker tried to hold it in. But let's just say Caboose had a bit of a sobbing mess, including, well, let's just say Doc and Donut were crying as well, hugging each other. Lopez, well, kind of had a bit of neutral, but also had a bit of a heartwarming moment within his circuitry, making him feel a bit sadness. Hey, come on now. I didn't expect you group of goofballs to actually feel so much emotions. No, Hestia said. It makes me feel like I'm crying so much. I sniff. Felt so crying in my life. Simmons said in a sobbing mess. Yeah, I never knew that. No one else has ever said those kindest words to us. Of all time, Sarge said, sniffing and wiping his tears away. But a proud, manly face of sadness. Hestia couldn't help but chuckle and sweat drop and kind of felt heart-warmed by that. You know, I used to be the most irresponsible, but also the liability of the group. But you could say I've changed a bit ever since the chorus incident. But now here in this world, and I guess some of us had some character growth over time. Tucker said. Looking at the rest of his teammates in the Reds, which they couldn't help but mutter and agreed with each other. Which made them felt some joy, a sensation of joy within them. Anyway, I don't know what, but I would recommend you guys should keep that monster girl low, keep her on low level. Besides, right now, I don't think any other adventurers would actually be more of a problem so that there could be people out there wanting them. But it certainly seems you'll have to give her a bit of a disguise. Hestia said to them, say we should actually give her some makeup. Donut said, with joy. No. Everyone yelled at Donut, making him feel a bit sad. I say we should actually give her some clothing just to make sure that she is actually making that she is actually a civilian and not some monster. Esther Tucker said, I agree that we have enough money within our safe to actually buy some for her. 4. Seeing that the Reds and Blues are discussed on what exactly they should do before it ends. Hestia said something that made a shiver down their spines. SB, which I saw a group of armored individuals who had the same armor just like you, but different. However, it was kind of their color schemes were different, dull, black and gray, and their helmets were different. So were their armor designs. Not to mention, so they were females as well. Male and female. I speak of which their weaponry is more futuristic. However, when the moment one of those armored individuals was asking for it, overheard one of them say something about a complaint. Another one of those adventurers that were rogue acted on their own. Didn't care much for the people. You could say that. Some of them. You could say that when I witnessed them kill that guy with that weapon. He disintegrated out of existence. Like he was turned into ashes, Hestia said in a fierce tone. Still, many of the Reds and Blues were still in shock that if there's one thing that the description of these men's high-tech armor are, they could have been remnants of the people of the war. Of course, like the people from Malcolm Hargrove or Space Pirates. And there is one thing that they've ever thought, could Felix actually be part of the group leading them with some other group as well? And you could say that the group was rather was completely shocked by seeing that they knew that I had to think of something. But however, instead, they never did show up. They were like doing things secretly or like doing underground shady stuff. But for the time being, the Reds and Blues had to get some sleep for tomorrow's events. S03 Chapter 2, Monster with Emotions. Caboose was with the monster girl with reptilian features. Decided to give her a name. Caboose was thinking of many kinds of names for the girl, while the Reds and Blues, among with the rest of the Hestia Familia, are busy training outside. Training to get stronger, Caboose was thinking of multiple kinds of different names for the girl, until one clicked in her mind. How about I give you a name called, Old Sophie? Caboose said to the monster girl, giving her a new name as Sophie. The girl couldn't help but smile a bit, instead her name, Sophie. After the moment the Reds and Blues were done training, they decided to wash up and have lunch for the time being. Caboose told everyone that he named the monster girl, known as Sophie. However, somewhere else in the city, in the underground area, they've put up a lot of fear, and the rest of his remnants of space pirates were there, talking to these monster hunters, and hunted monsters were emotions. Monster Hunter boss, I have to admit you really have brought us somewhere quite at the stuff you brought us. Ultimately equipment weapons I have to admit too. Admit you're pretty hard. The stuff that people say you are from the world. The Monster Hunter boss said, amused by Felix and the pirates. No mention of it, boss. Besides, you know what they say. When the want we owe you stuff you owe us twice as much. Felix said with a smug grin. One of the hunters once your hunters gave off a growl. One that had blonde bald hair, bald head and a tattoo. Looked at Felix the pirate untrustful look. Monster hunter with a tattoo guy said boss. Would we trust this guy? I don't think we should. Besides, he might actually want to do the type of work he actually stabbed us in the back. Relax. Besides saying that he gave us the equipment and our innocent men. Including some vehicles to round up some of these monsters for emotions. He can actually make quite a big buck for us, including selling these weapons. The boss of the monster hunter said to his goons. Not as much, but I could tell. A group of other soldiers in armor that however might actually be a bit. But worn on your side. So that is why I would not recommend you to gauge them yet. Felix said, getting the attention of many of the monster hunter groups as well, including the cage monsters with emotions. The boss of the monster hunter of emotion. Hunting the monster's emotions gave off all rays of an eyebrow and said, what is that supposed to mean? Felix took pictures of many of the reds and blues showing the people that might actually interfere or not. The boss looked at many of the photos of the people. He realized, seeing that he looked at Felix, and he could tell that these people actually have armor and advanced weaponry with them. Well, now it certainly seems that we might actually have a bit of a problem. But to measure, it seems that those guys are part of the Hestia Familia. Even if we could strike at them, it seems that they really know how to slaughter a bunch of adventurers like they don't care. Many of them gave them titles of iron. Human demons from another world. The boss said smugly. Well, now it certainly seems that's a new nickname, Felix said. Anyway, here's your payment for now. The boss said, handing out Felix and the rest of his space pirates cronies the money that they need. Make sure that you arrive tomorrow and make sure no one will be following you guys. The boss said to Felix and his space pirate goons. Sure thing, boss, after all, just in case they do come here, considering that I want to settle the score with an aquamarine soldier. Felix said, greeting his teeth underneath his helmet while walking away alongside his space pirate goons, follow behind. After they left, the boss of the monster hunters with the rest of the goons looked at the pictures. In mind the boss of them, the emotion hunter, the emotion monster hunters could tell that this could be a problem sometime in the future. But for the time they let them continue doing its business carefully. S03 Chapter 3, All hell is about to break loose. After discussing what to do with the creature or intelligent monster, seeing that this was going to be a real problem for the reds and blues for some time in the long run. However, seeing that if the Hestia Familiar had a monster, then all hell will break loose. And I mean literally. Tucker and Simmons decided to go on out ahead and, well, let's just say in the dungeons for some time, and needed to slay some beast. And I mean non-sentient type of monsters, non-sentient type monsters. Seeing that this would actually lead to a bit of a problem. When Tucker and Simmons were taking a shortcut in the alleyway, they came across some guy in dark blue hair and a jacket. Tucker got out of the energy sword and Simmons got out of his battle rifle, playing directly at the unknown man. Who the hell are you? Well, now there is no need to be nervous. The man said. And who the hell do you think we are nervous? Simmons said, almost close to pulling the trigger on his battle rifle. You know us gods can be quite the shady characters, can't we? My name is Ekalos. Ekalos said, introducing himself to Tucker and Simmons, which the two soldiers of red and blue were kind of weary. Seeing that if this guy was actually a god in disguise, there's no way that they could actually trust this god, seeing that he is rather not the kind of person to be taken lightly. What exactly do you want from us? Tucker said. Oh, nothing really. You know you haven't acted it strange lately. Ekalos said. Still, I don't care if you're a god or whatever you are. I don't know what you're talking about. We've just been running out of medical supplies. Just doing some errands for Hestia and that's all. The rest is none of your goddamn business. Now if you mind, we have to go. Simmons said. Tucker and Simmons were about to go until Ekalos had a bit of a grin. Tell me what you know about a talking Gevra. Ekalos said. Tucker and Simmons' heart felt that they have sunk infinitely. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Oh really? Because I thought that thing actually has a stunning face. Ekalos said while walking off. Tucker and Simmons felt their hearts beat rapidly and made a complete mad dash to the mansion. With Hermes and Ekalo. What is this I heard about the Ekalos familiar in film with the black market? Hermes said to Ekalos. Am I suspicious or something? Ekalos said. I don't enjoy accusing an old buddy of mine from heaven. They say you have ties to an organization. An infamous group known as Els. Ekalos said. That's not all. There's someone smuggling unique monster taking them outside of ore. Ekalos laughed maniacally. What was that, actually just my scheme or something? Ekalos said maniacally. Back with many of the familiar, including the remaining reds and blues except for Tucker and Simmons. That were outside. They realizing that seeing that there were monsters in the dungeon, some that were almost gaining intelligence. Seeing that this was a bit worrisome for the group. I know, but what happened to Lady Vene? Yamato said. There had been rumors of some smugglers working behind the scenes. Washington said. Not to mention one of them dropped a weapon that should not belong to this world. Carolina said, showing Hestia Familia the weapon. Wait a second, isn't that? Griff said in disbelief, seeing the weapon in front of them. How the hell could a group of smuggling bastards get their hands on weapons like these? Welf said. I don't know, but whatever I'm guessing at, if my hunch is right, then I know who's behind this. Washington said with a serious look on his face. Carolina's eyes widening, knowing who Washington was talking about, if it could be Malcolm Hargrove. Could he actually go into this world without them even noticing? If so, then why? However, the doors were shut. And that's what I want everyone to rush to realize, that the lizard girl they had with them left the mansion. Oh shit, don't tell me she left. Oh no, if she leaves then all hell's about to break loose. Doc said. The only ones that aren't here are Tucker, Simmons and Bell. Carolina said. Worriedly, then hurry up and call them immediately. Sarge said while getting out his shotgun and cocking. When Tucker and Simmons including Bell arrived, they got what they heard, seeing that Vene has disappeared or probably ran away. Tucker and Simmons including Bell knew if anyone knows what's about her then all hell's about to break loose. Tucker and Simmons including Bell made a mad dash. However, they decided to search somewhere in the city for her. Vene was wandering the city, not even noticing about the presence. However, when Vene noticed a rope was about to be loose on a girl that had someone's animal ears. She however seen that Crete was about to fall on her, but however without even realizing what she was about to do next. A lot of people attention and wealth, not the pleasant kind of attention, including people drawing their sword at her. And well, that's when the moment, which many of the reds and blues also decide as well. However, some elf also dragging the creature, dragging Vene away. However, and luckily the reds and blues and Bell knew where the first home was, the church of the Hestia Familia, which Bell and Caboose tried to comfort her, which Vene cried. And seeing that this secret wasn't actually going unnoticed. Seeing that everyone else saw it, and now the reds and blues and Hestia Familia knew that they are going to deal with a problem bigger. Not also that it caused an unwanted attention from an unknown black market group, including Felix and his pirate gang as well, or remnants of the pirates. S03 Episode 4, Meeting with the Monsters known as Xeno. In the guild hall, everything was a complete total wreck. So many people were running in the lobby, a whole angry crowd was angry, many of them saying that there was a monster on the loose. However, the elf girl with brown hair went to the manager and wanted to deliver an envelope to the Hestia of the Militus, including the reds and blues. Bell didn't really want to make it there, however only for Tucker to decide it to go ahead and see whatever was going on, so that Tucker was in the meeting area. What the hell is this mission about? As you may already know, missions are different from the quest. There are kind of a mandatory assignment, you're unable to refuse this mission. Tucker didn't say a word. Even though in a moment his helmet was on the table, he had a bit of a quiet of a neutral look on his face. Even though he felt a bit weary about this, he didn't know what to feel, emotions running down his body, when a moment he opened it. Only for the elf girl with glasses nodding directly at Tucker, which he opened it. Normally missions are assigned to the Familias. I can't imagine why the Hestia of the Militus among your group for such a mission thing. When the moment he got out, when the moment he looked at it, he felt a mixture of anger, rage, leading to the boiling point. He didn't know why, but proceed to the 20th floor with the tracking girl. What the fuck? Tucker said in disbelief on what he was just seeing in front of him. What the how? Who the hell? About Vene? Don't tell me punch of lying rats, god damn it, I would nuke this goddamn fucking place. Fuck it. Did again. He had an idea which almost felt stupid at the same time. But he was thinking about it. What if he could actually move Vene, could actually bring Vene to their world? He was thinking about it for a minute, but then he could be worked, but or I could lead to a bit of a train wreck thinking about it, but fuck it. For time being, Tucker said in his mind, racing with a lot of emotions. Are you okay? The elf girl said. Yeah, I'm just surprised, that's all. Tucker said. Trying to be honest, it's okay Tucker, what's wrong? The elf girl said. Tucker still did not say a word. He kept on this neutral face even though deep down he could feel it. But then again, he did have the plan of his to actually send Vine and maybe other monsters to his world. If that could work, then maybe they could actually have a salvation in their world, even though they know no one or anybody's technology, but it might work even though it might sound crazy. See, Tucker knew what he had to do. He got up and put on the helmet and only said these few words to her: thank you for the mission, while leaving. The elf girl didn't know what to say. She was speechless for the first time ever since she met the Reds and Blues, a group of odd soldiers, a group of misfits, a group of delinquents, but now seeing that their personality has changed, she could see that they have grown up at the Hestia mansion. Are you sure about this, Tucker? Carolina said to the aquamarine soldier. Tucker nodded sheepishly, and Belle as well cannot believe it if they knew about Fine. Do you think it could be a trap? Washington said cautiously. Tucker did not say a word but stood looked down on the ground. Unable to say a word, but he looked directly at Simmons, and Simmons also known as the look that Tucker is giving him. Why are you giving that look? Simmons said to Tucker. Because I'm about to come up with some crazy / idiotic plan that would rather get us killed or save Vene. Tucker said, which got everyone's attention. What exactly is this crazy plan of yours? Hestia said to Tucker. Tucker looked back at Hestia. What exactly are you thinking about, Tucker? Hestia said to the aquamarine. The aquamarine soon looked up at every one of the group, having a bit of a curiosity and confused looks on their faces from Belle, Welf, Lily, Mikado, including the Reds and Blues. Tucker took on a deep sigh and had a look on his eyes, ready to say what he's about to say. I'm about to say the most craziest idiotic thing for a plan, and I'm gonna say one thing. It might sound stupid, it might sound completely insane, but you know what, fuck it, just wing it. Tucker said. Many of Hestia Familiar looked at each other confused, seeing that he kind of felt a bit nervous and hesitated on the plan. Tucker looked and had a serious look on his face. We should move Vene to our world where she could be safe for the time being, Tucker said, finishing his sentence of the plan. Many of the Reds and Blues looked at him as if he was just crazy, but in their own minds they realized if it might actually work or might actually be the most stupidest or retarded thing he had ever came up with in all of his life. Are you really sure about bringing Vene to your world? Hestia said, unsure about the plan. I mean my work, I mean to be honest, let's just say the people wouldn't care as much rather she was a monster or not. Trust me, let's just say she is, well, trust me, Dr. Gray would actually just be more curious on her monster feature, so yeah, don't think that wouldn't be a problem after all. Tucker said. Which Hestia was rather intrigued by this person known as Dr. Gray. But first let us take on this mission for the time being. Washington said. I agree, we should take one step at a time. Carolina said. You're right, the mission comes first after all, so let's get going. Sarge said, cocking his shotgun. Which the group decided to go, however they decided to go in nighttime, while Caboose continued comforting Vene. In the underground black marketing of human light, Bird was killed by one of the space pirates. A man who goggles listened to what the space pirates said and was intrigued, having a malicious grin on his face, which to his henchmen of a group of dogs including the pirates ordered them to actually follow the Hestia Familiar, including the Reds and Blues. Hermes also got wind of this as well. It was nighttime. Many of the Hestia Familiar including the Reds and Blues Hestia was meant to meet up, ready to meet. Having an audience with an unknown person. In a moment Hestia was actually going to meet the person. I have a feeling it was you, the elder man known as Urias, hiding his face behind the hoodie. Bell alongside many of the Reds and Blues fired their weapons directly at many of the other monsters that didn't actually have any sentient life, which is able to kill was kind of not easy. It's a point that they fought against many level hired monsters. Am I too soon because of being a dragon girl? Hestia said to Urine. What exactly is she? However, in the moment the group decided to actually but then again when the moment the lizard reptile person monster with armor was laughing, it caught the group off guard. That was great. The reptile lizard man said to group. What the fuck? Simmons said. Oh, don't tell me we have to, so you can also talk as well. Tucker said to the lizard man, which he walked up and decided to lend a hand. I should have never doubted you, Ray. These adventures are really something else, including the colorful armored individuals as well. Ray to the dragon or lizard reptilian guy said to the bird-like woman known as Ray. Explained everything about the monsters soon growing sentient for a time being. However, Tucker decided to break in it, and well, actually, I want you all to come to our world, Tucker said, which made every of the monster. The monsters would sent in were surprised by Tucker saying that they want to come to their world. Wait, you really want us to actually go to your world? A wolf-like creature said. I know you're not going to be wanted. I know that there will be people trying to hunt you down, Sarge said. But I mean, maybe some of the people on chorus might think they might. Well, I mean, they're not afraid of you. I mean, they're not exactly the most clever people, but well, I mean, then again, you can actually start some new life in this our world for the time being. As the plan to actually get all of you to our world, seeing that I mean, I don't know how much of you guys are in this dungeon. So yeah, let's just say it's going to be a bit, and yes, I might say that this might actually work in favor for us, but seeing that if you guys are not exactly going to be around, and I don't know what, it might actually cause a civil war, Simmons said. Then that's fine by me, Tucker said. Even if it means to get Vene to safety away from harm is the way, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes, Tucker said, looking at Ray the bird-like female. Ray couldn't help but look at Tucker with amusement. You know, ever since you armored individuals came to our world, you're rather an interesting bunch of groups. Normally people would label you as a bunch of misfits, idiots, oddballs. The Link wins, but to us you seem to be more like the hero type. Trust me, let's just say we have gone through a lot of shit compared to what, well, the people on this world have gone through. We have fought against many tough adversaries, so yeah, this ain't our first rodeo, Griff said. So yes, luckily Simmons actually has the interdimensional portal that'll take you to our world from Harmer's Way from this world for a time being. And luckily has the understood why those sentient human-like creatures started appearing. Seen that they could actually lead to a bridge where humans and monsters can actually coexist, even if it means to actually transport them out from this world into the Reds and Blues world. S03 Chapter 5, Moving Monsters into the World of the Reds and Blues. Luckily the Reds and Blues knew that the black marketing, including some of the remnants of the space pirates led by Felix for a time being, tried to actually find out where the Reds and Blues went off to. Seeing that the black marketing people were rather kind of getting a bit anxious, seeing that they have no idea where Phone or the Reds and Blues are. However, some under part of the dungeon in a special area, the interdimensional teleporter sets for the Reds and Blues universe was ready to go. Many monsters were hesitant at first, but luckily the portal that they went into actually worked. It didn't actually harm them the first time, only did a little bit of a zap. But luckily they were able to get through the portal into the Reds and Blues universe for the time being. Many of the members of the black marketing selling the monsters were kind of getting a bit bored and a bit seeing that they had nothing else. However, one of the space pirates actually gave the leader of the black marketing a book, an orange book of some sort. A bunch of bastards, the little rookie's tail, dicks. Then we could have at least located their stupid nest, including those armored individuals as well. The scum with muscles and a sword said to Dix, the leader of the black marketing. It is what it is. Keeping the Hermie Familia off our ass is top priority. Damned it, studs screw us over big time. Duds said this could be pretty bad. If they got wind of our smuggling operation, you can bet that the guilds could be involved, including the armored individuals with their heavy weapons sooner or later, Dix said to the man with the large sword said. I would recommend that they didn't actually try to pick a fight with us, and if they do, then we actually have more firepower with our new allies, even if it means to cause a bit of war and destruction, Dix said to his men, getting everyone's attention, which they were completely caught off guard. Hold on now, starting a war? I mean, have you completely lost your mind? Goon said to the boss. I know what you're thinking, but even if we have to resort to violence, then we will, Dix said to his goon. And luckily for the Reds and Blues, they had to say goodbye to Vene for the time being, but Vene did not want to go. Caboose couldn't help but hug her and sing these final words to Vene. Goodbye, nice dragon lady, Caboose said with tears in his eyes. I'm not forcing you or anything, but if I want to actually let you stay, I can't allow you to stay for the time being, Tucker said, even though he felt a bit sad seeing someone like Vene go away. Washington spoke up. You'll always be a part of our family, Washington said, which made Vene cry even more and hugged Washington, the ex-former freelancer. which he hugged back and patted her hair, which she ran off into the portal when it closed. On the planet course, many people were surprised. They were kind of high alert at first, but Vene explained everything about the Reds and Blues trying to save them from a group of black marketing people. Which Kimball, the new leader of Chorus, can understand the situation for the time being. Many of the Chorus people were rather intrigued and curious about the monster people. Many of the monsters also got along with many of the people as well. There were only 3% that did not like them, seeing that they were kind of creeped out and weirded out by them. But were they the judge? Back in the DanMachi universe, the Reds and Blues were ready. Are you sure you're ready up for this thing? Sarge said. Without any of the sentient monsters, including Vene out of harm's way, I'm guessing a war will actually spread. Tucker said. Then let's be prepared for that kind of scenario. Hold on, you don't actually mean that there will be a war happening in Orario? Lily said in complete shock and disbelief on what she was hearing. I'm afraid so, it is what it is. Now we cannot actually avoid this kind of scenario. Washington said. Sooner or later, both the black marketing system, including the remnants of the space pirates, will actually try to do whatever it takes to make business, even if it means to cause some chaos and destruction. Simmons said. Then let's be prepared for that kind of scenario. Bell said. The group left the dungeon place and returned back to the Familiar. Hestia was also done talking as well with the former god. The black marketing, including Felix and the few members of the space pirates, investigated the nest of where the sentient monsters were. However, only to find nothing, absolute nothingness, however, only a symbol saying, "You're too late, fuckheads." Felix couldn't help but laugh in amusement, seeing the people of the Reds and Blues actually making it here first before they could. While I be damned, it seems that we underestimated this group of misfit soldiers. Dix said. What do we do now, boss? All the monsters are gone. Goon with the large sword said. It's fine. If they really want to actually start a fight, then so be it. Let us start a war. It is time to bring out every big unretainable Felix. I'm guessing you and that sword key of yours can actually help us with a bit of our situation. Dix said to Felix. Which Felix nodded and got a plasma sword. I'm guessing what you're thinking right about now, Felix said to Dix. Indeed. It is time to commence Operation Civil War. Dix said, what an evil grin on his face. S03 Chapter 6 Final Season 3. War. After evacuating every single sentient monster from the DanMachi universe into the Red vs. Blue universe, it's now a matter of time for all the Sim troopers, including the Hestia Familia, to be prepared for war by the underground black marketing people, especially the remnants of the space pirates. However, it didn't take long for many of the space pirates to actually soon start attacking Orario. Many adventurers didn't know who these people were and why they were attacking them. Many high-level adventurers thought they could defeat them, however, only to be killed by the advanced technology or weaponry of the Red vs. Blue universe. High-ranking adventurer said, who the hell are you? Why are you doing this? It's nothing much, kid. It's just business in the underground world where criminals like us have to do whatever it takes to make a living. And we don't like loose ends. The space pirate said, giving off a sinister grin behind the helmet before pointing its advanced weapon directly at the high-ranking adventurer, ending his life in a mere heartbeat. Many other adventurers also caught wind of this as well. They all tried their best against the onslaught of attacks from Felix's men. Some of the remnants of the space pirates were able to achieve many other, such as an alien tank that obliterated them. Some were able to destroy the tanks, but however, were still being slaughtered by the people, the remnants of the space pirates. Many citizens evacuated. You waited, seeing that there has never been a war before in all of time itself. Even the gods also saw this as well, but there has never been war among them. Ever since the Red vs. Blue, these unknown people with advanced technology far beyond their century showed up. Chaos follows wherever they go. Apollo was furious for these filthy mortals to achieve this kind of technology. However, Zeus was worried about his grandson. Many of the Familias who tried to stop the space pirates and the black market goons tried their best. Some survived while others were dead or lost a limb or severe injuries. Especially that wolf prick. who tried to make fun of Bell didn't say a word like his spirit or ego was broken. It only took few seconds for the reds and blues among the Hestia Familia and their backup from chorus. "Hey motherfuckers, did you miss me?" Tucker yelled. Which caught everyone's attention to see the reds and blues and the Hestia Familia, including more of the armored individuals. Well, Tucker. He finally had changed. I have to admit, I'm rather impressed. Felix said. "Oh shut the fuck up Felix, nobody never misses you." Tucker said to Felix, giving him the middle finger. "It's too bad and I'll have to level this place up. Bits by bit until I find those talking monsters," Felix said, with a psychotic grin behind the mask. "Wow, hurting civilians, and that's just even low, even for you Felix," Tucker said in disappointment. "Oh please, you should, people should know that it's just business for us mercenaries or pirates. Besides, sometimes the people are just collateral damage," Felix said. That made every member of the Red vs. Blue, including the Hestia Familia, completely fucking pissed off at Felix's word. "You better watch your mouth, you orange-black prick. Yeah, you better shut the fuck up or else we'll be the ones who know the fuck you up hard," Carolina said. "And besides, I bet you forgot that you're the one who was thrown off and was betrayed by your own partner after all. And to be honest, you're the one who actually fucked yourself up real bad," Griff said. "TCH, I don't care for that traitor, he's her locus. He had his own ways and now it's my turn and I will make sure that I'll get rid of you idiots once and for all," Felix said. He looked directly at many of his army and pointed them to attack, which many of them had war including someone of black marketing goons also. "Charge," Tucker said. While everyone else on the Red vs. Blue side, including the Hestia Familia side, also charged as well. The whole scene became of a bloodbath, a war zone. Many Hornets and Scorpion tanks, including Warthogs, started firing on the space pyres and the underground black marketing people. Some were slaughtered by the tank shells, including missiles coming from the Hornet. It became an absolute bloodbath. Some of them tried to get the upper advantage, but however, it was no good. Many of the space pyres were able to kill a few of the chorus soldiers. However, the Red vs. Blue crew was able to handle things very well, saying that they had a bit of an experience to adapt to this world. Tucker's using his plasmus blade, alongside Mikado, doing a sword-to-sword team-up against many of the scumbags on Felix's side, killing them in the process. Simmons using a rocket launcher and firing his assault rifle, obliterating them anywhere they go, especially Doc as well going full-on O'Malley mode, laughing psychically. While many of the scumbags, Shrandon, crying like a bunch of bitches, just hiding behind cover. "That's right, you fools, feel oblivion," O'Malley said, laughing maniacally. Caroline and Wash continuously whooping the asses of many of the scumbags of the remnants of the space pyres, were to include the underground black market. Many of the people from the black marketing were too scared and horrified to see the slaughtering of their people, of their teammates actually being slaughtered by these people with advanced technology, with incredible firepower as well. Some surrendered, realizing that this is a fight that has already been lost, while others decided that they don't want to surrender, or were shot down on top of a building in an anticlimactic way for the final showdown against a villain and a hero. Tucker and Felix stared down at each other. "Well, it certainly seems that this is the final showdown between us." Tucker, Felix said, mocking the aquamarine soldier. "Shut up already. I don't even know why I'm asked to listen to an annoying prick like yourself," Tucker said, getting annoyed by the mercenaries' entrance of trying to actually annoy him. Which was kind of getting a bit boring. "Well now you see Tucker, when the moment I will be getting everything I will need, you will have ruined everything for me. Everything on the planet. Of course, always you and your so-called buddies. You have ruined everything, always know to fuck up. Everything," Felix said, which rage. "Oh trust me, we know to fuck things up. In Clary we know to fuck up the bad guys, plans to go downhill very quickly," Tucker said, giving off a cheeky grin behind the helmet. "You're so fucking dead," Felix said, rushing directly at Tucker with his own energy sword. However, the fight went somewhat similarity, like a Star Wars movie reference. Like Anakin Skywalker fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi. They continuously trading blows with their swords only for Tucker to use a flash or need. blinding Felix only for him to kick Felix almost close the edge and for Tucker to grab the other sword. I wanted you to say an idea into my face, bitch, because actually this is not the first time you've lost to me. But now the second time you've lost to us. So either I can do this the easy way or the fucking hard way to drop you off this building and let you be impaled by one of those spikes. Tucker said, to Felix. I'll always come back. Believe me, I'll always fucking come back just like your nightmares will. Felix said. Dude, did you just try to quote a fucking Five Nights at Freddy's reference? Tucker said, giving off a deadpan look at Felix. So what? That's the one cool thing we'll go after I fucking die. Felix said. Okay, well, little sucker kick. Tucker said, kicking Felix off the building only for him to get impaled by one of the wooden planks in his chest, ending the mercenary's life once and for all. Well, that was kind of anticlimactic, but who might have judged? Tucker said, walking after a group with any of his other teammates. Sarge was able to give a shotgun to the face by the leader or the ringmaster of the black market underground place, leaving him to die. Many of the people of Arario, including the adventurers, also were happy for the Reds in Blue for them to actually kick the butts of many of the people that caused the war. Bell alongside of his party members were happy as well, including Hestia as well. Some time later, many of the scumbags were locked in prison for lifetime. And let's just say there were some construction in Arario that was able to make things a brand new improvement, such as solar energy, including some new buildings for medical attention. Life was good, and luckily people forgot about the talking monster and cleaned out one incident as well. The Reds in Blue couldn't be happy while they were celebrating in the mansion. Happy for this victory. And of course Caboose was back in the Red vs Blue universe to see Vine, which, well, Caboose explained in his version about how they were able to defeat the underground black marketing place, including defeating many of the remnants of the space pirates, including him defeating Felix. Well, in bullshit term, it was Tucker, was the one who was able to defeat Felix. Anyway, this is the of season 3. And this is the end of the movie of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Don't really leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.